Chapter 1511. That's the White Emperor's Eyes. Bai Qinyu pursed her red lips, her clear eyes rippling. Chu Hen frowned slightly. His eyes were both demonic and holy, one purple and one gold, as if the power of demons and gods coexisted. Why? He asked in a low voice. Bai Qinyu shook her head. I just don't know what to use for the time being, so... Bai Qinyu's expression was slightly complicated. Nothing had anything to do with her. But standing in front of Chu Hen, she seemed to feel indescribably uncomfortable. Buzz, accompanied by a strange rhythm, Chu Hen's weak figure trembled slightly. The demonic purple light and dazzling golden light in his eyes also receded. Bai Qinyu was slightly shocked. She took a few steps forward to support him, but she couldn't help but stop. Chu Hen didn't say anything again. He supported himself on the chair next to him and returned to the window. A long silence. The two were silent. Chu Hen just stood by the window, quietly staring out. No one knew what he was thinking. Bai Qinyu stood behind him, looking at his back, her mind full of thoughts. You rest well, I'm going back. After a while, Bai Qinyu said softly, then turned and walked out the door. Didn't you say we'll never meet again? An indifferent and calm voice came from behind. Bai Qinyu, who was walking to the door, stopped. She turned sideways to look back. Chu Hen had also turned around. The two's eyes met. There was an indescribable, complex emotion. Yes, we've already said we'll never meet again. Bai Qinyu gently breathed a sigh of relief, then pretended to be relaxed and turned her beautiful eyes elsewhere. It seems that I broke the rules this time. Why'd you go back on your word? Chu Hen looked at the other party's peerless appearance, which was enough to cause the downfall of nations and people. His tone was flat, but carried a trace of profoundness. Why do you want to help me? Chu Hen's eyes calm and deep, as if he would fall into it if he didn't pay attention. Under Chu Hen's gaze, Bai Qinyu's previous aloof and indifferent demeanor could no longer be displayed. She was the one who said it. That was the last day. In the future, even if Chu Hen saw her, he would not chase after her. We've already said that we won't see each other again. At this moment, the two of them were once again very close to each other. Bai Qinyu raised her beautiful eyes. Her lovely peach blossom eyes seemed to have stars moving within them. She looked straight at Chu Hen. I used to think that you were just a passerby, but later on, I realized that you were a tribulation destined for me. I should have thought that I would be reborn after the calamity, but when I saw you again, I still couldn't escape my fate. Bai Qinyu's voice was very light, but his eyes had never been so sure. She had a pair of peach blossom eyes that could charm the world, just like that unavoidable love calamity. He was her doom. It was also her destiny. One came from the Eastern Domain. The other had been in the divine I Saint clan since childhood. The two seemingly unrelated points seemed to have touched each other under the wheel of fate. Looking at Bai Qinyu's slightly reddened eyes, Chu Hen didn't say a word. Then, Bai Qinyu smiled, turned sideways, and casually wiped away the glimmer in the corner of her eyes. Just take it that I was talking nonsense. This time, I broke my promise. As long as you have a clear conscience, I really won't see you again. With that, Bai Qinyu turned sideways again, preparing to leave. But then, Chu Hen's voice followed. What if I have a guilty conscience? Bai Qinyu's delicate body trembled slightly. She looked back at Chu Hen's pale, handsome face, and her already reddened eyes couldn't help but turn clear tears. I have a guilty conscience. Chu Hen's lips moved slightly, and he looked at Bai Qinyu. I should have continued to pretend that I didn't know. Pretend? Bai Qinyu's lily-white hands clutched the corner of her dress tightly, her pretty face full of surprise. I can deceive you, but I can't deceive myself. Chu Hen said softly, so I've always had a guilty conscience. In this world, the sharpest thing wasn't the blade. It was the words of love from the person you cared about. The blade could hurt people, but the words of love could pierce the heart. In the face of Chu Hen's sudden words, Bai Qinyu was at a loss. Then, her small mouth twitched slightly, and her voice was a little choked. What do you mean by this? I already feel very embarrassed, and you still say that you have a guilty conscience. You really are a bastard. I should have let you go possess and die. With that, Bai Qinyu immediately turned around and ran out of the room. Yes, Chu Hen sighed softly. I should only dive back then. Then Chu Hen walked to the side of the bed and slowly sat down. He reached out and gently touched his left eye. Zung. A strong spatial rhythm rippled, and a wisp of divine golden light flashed in his cold and deep eyes. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed quietly. At the edge of a quiet and secluded pool, Chu Hen sat on a rock beside the pool. His eyes were closed, and every time he breathed, the surrounding space would rhythmically move. Suddenly, Chu Hen opened his eyes, and a demonic purple light and a holy golden light burst out from his pupils. The two different colors of his pupils produced a particularly strong spatial rhythm. Buzz. Immediately after, the pond in front of him slowly caved in. The corner of Chu Hen's eye shivered. In the next instant, the water in the pond broke away from gravity and rose into the sky in a stable manner. In the blink of an eye, all the spring water in the deep pool was swept away. A huge water ball gathered above Chu Hen's head. Inside the water ball, one could clearly see fish, turtles, crabs, and other creatures swimming back and forth. Then, with a thought, Chu Hen's left eye flashed with a cold light. Boom! The huge water ball directly fell back into the pool, along with the fish and shrimps in the water. The tide churned, and the waves splashed. Chu Hen calmly looked at the scene in front of him. There was a kind of calmness that was neither happy nor sad. What's wrong? Is the god's eye rejecting me? At this time, Bai Qinyu's voice came from behind. Chu Hen turned around and looked at the beautiful and refined figure standing beside the water wheel, then shook his head. The two forces are very compatible. Really? Bai Qinyu's beautiful eyes lit up, and then her figure moved and flashed to Chu Hen's side. Chu Hen nodded. It's a bit magical. Bai Qinyu seemed a little surprised. I was worried that there would be rejection. I didn't expect you to really adapt to this. Chu Hen smiled slightly. He could clearly feel the powerful power contained in this god's eye. However, Chu Hen's face quickly turned cold, and a faint cold light surged in his eyes. My state is almost recovered. Bai Qinyu was stunned. She naturally knew the meaning behind his words. You want to go to Maple Wing, Sky Valley? Chu Hen stood up, exuding a frosty chill from head to toe. I want to get my things back. Chapter 15:12. Maple Wing Sky Valley. The Sacred Wing Heavenly Flame Sparrow Clan. For the next few days, the entire Heavenly Flame Sparrow Clan was in chaos. The old master, Huang Tsang, regained his power and carried out a complete purge of Ming Mie's remaining followers. It wasn't just to make an example out of them. It was also to intimidate everyone in the clan. His Majesty Huang Tsang was too ruthless this time. Not only did he send Emperor Ming Mie to the lowest level of the Wailing Abyss, he also killed all his other followers. Yes, Elder Hong Shan was tied to the altar and tortured with poisonous fire. The poisonous fire burned for 3 days and 3 nights before he finally died this morning. The other trusted followers of Emperor Ming Mie also suffered terrible fates. Although Emperor Ming Mie rebelled and seized the throne, he has done many great things for the clan over the years. All right, that's enough. Now that Emperor Huangzong has regained the throne, he must shock the people. Let's not talk about this anymore. If someone hears it, we might be implicated. This was a critical time. The Sacred Wing Heavenly Flame Sparrow Clan situation was still unstable. However, under Huangzong's ruthless methods, Ming Mie, Hong Shan, and the rest were all killed. Huangzong regained power without any suspense. Your Highness, why are you here? Qi Shou, who had just come out of the majestic main palace, bumped into Mo Qingli. Are you looking for His Majesty? Yes. Mo Qingli nodded. Is father inside? Yes. Qi Shou replied. Then he patted Mo Qingli's shoulder lightly. Your Highness, why do you look troubled these days? Shouldn't you be happy that His Majesty has regained the throne? Mo Qingli squeezed out a smile. I'm very happy. Brother Qi Shou, you can go back to work. All right, go in and have a chat with His Majesty. With that, Qi Shou stepped aside to let her in. The spacious and bright main palace was still as dazzling and luxurious as ever. However, The person sitting at the top of the hall was no longer Ming Mia. Instead, it was another domineering middle-aged man with an extraordinary bearing. At this moment, Huang Tsang was like an emperor reviewing a pile of books on the table in front of him. These were the rules that Ming Mia had set up when he was in power, as well as the plans for the clan's affairs. Now that Huang Tsang had seized power again, he naturally had to abolish the old rules one by one. Father. At this time, Mo Qingli walked in from outside. Huang Tsang's eyes lit up. Ali is here. It could be seen that Huang Tsang valued his only daughter. He put down the scroll in his hand and looked at Mo Qingli. It's all thanks to you that I was able to regain my throne. I have to say, this demon eye you brought is indeed powerful. It's actually at the 7-star level. Although I can't unleash its full power, it's enough to greatly increase my power. Ali, you've done well, huh? Huang Tsang was especially excited. However, the other party's words of praise were like sharp swords that pierced Mo Qingli's heart. Imperial Father, since you've already reclaimed the position of clan emperor, then I implore Imperial Father to return the demon eye to me. With that said, the smile on Huang Tsang's face gradually disappeared. Ali, do you know how precious a demon eye that can reach the 7-star level is in this world? I know. Mo Qingli replied with determination. No one knows better than me how much suffering he's suffered because of this. Because you're my Imperial Father, I have to help you. However, this demon eye isn't yours. Ali, please, give it to me. With that, Mo Qingli knelt on the ground and stared at Huang Tsang with determination. Determination that she had never shown before. In Huang Tsang's impression, Mo Qingli had never dared to speak to him like this. No matter what, she would always listen to his every word. Similarly, Mo Qingli had never begged him like this before. Ali, Huang Tsang's tone had already turned cold. He was like a king looking at his subjects. Is it worth it for a mere human to beg me here? He's not an ordinary person. To me, he's a very important person, but I betrayed his trust. Mo Qingli's expression was gloomy. Thinking back to that day, her eyes were filled with deep sorrow. Then, she said with determination, Imperial Father, please return the demon eye. Huang Tsang laughed coldly. Ali, I'll take it as you're confused. I won't pursue what happened today. Not only can this demon eye help me stabilize my position as the imperial family, it can also help me recover my cultivation to its peak. When I've recovered my cultivation, you can come and talk to me about this. I can't wait that long. Mo Qingli didn't back down. That pair of ruby-red eyes were filled with determination. I know my Imperial Father's character. If you don't give it to me now, you won't return it in the future. How dare you? Bang! Huang Tsang broke the table in front of him. His expression was already gloomy. How dare you speak to me like this? At the same time, Qi Shou, who was guarding outside, heard the commotion and rushed in. What happened? Looking at Mo Qingli, who was kneeling on the ground, and the furious Huang Tsang, Qi Shou seemed to have guessed something and immediately tried to mediate. Your Majesty, please calm down. Her Highness was confused for a moment. I hope your Majesty won't blame her. Get out, Huang Tsang coldly shouted at Mo Qingli. However, Mo Qingli still didn't move. She stared at the furious Huang Tsang and said word by word with incomparable determination, Imperial Father, I am willing to use my eyes to exchange for Chu Hen's eyes. The moment she finished speaking, Mo Qingli flipped her palm, and a ray of light flashed out from the gaps between her fingers. Your Highness, you can't. Qi Shou turned pale with fright. Hiss! Along with the sound of sharp weapon piercing through flesh, Mo Qingli's left hand directly pressed against her left eye. Bright and warm blood instantly covered half of Mo Qingli's delicate face and flowed out from the gaps between her fingers. Your Highness! Qi Shou's face was filled with shock, and he trembled uncontrollably. Huang Tsang's eyes were also wide open, almost spitting out fire. Mo Qingli's left hand trembled as blood continuously flowed out from her left eye. It flowed down her cheek and dripped drop by drop onto the floor like blooming flower petals. You! Huang Tsang was trembling with anger. He looked at the sharp ray of light between Mo Ching Li's fingers. The ray of light was crystal clear, like a colorful hairpin. Icy soul needle. Chisho couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He looked at Mo Ching Li, full of pity. Your Highness, why do you have to do this? Everyone knew that once one's cultivation reached the level of the great Saint King realm, they could slowly recover their damaged limbs. However, in this world, there were some divine weapons or treasures that could cause permanent injuries. Serious injuries caused by those divine weapons could not be reversed and healed. And the icy soul needle in Mo Ching Li's hand had this kind of serious injury power. In other words, the eye that Mo Ching Li blinded would never grow back. Fresh blood lay on her beautiful face. Before this, she had a pair of very beautiful eyes. Like a red gem, it made countless young women in the clan very envious. Now, Mo Ching Li personally destroyed this beauty that was gifted by the heavens. She still didn't waver. Father, this eye of mine, I will use it to exchange for Chu Hen's demon eye. If you're not satisfied, I will give this eye to you as well. After saying that, Mo Ching Li raised the icy soul needle in her hand again. Stop! Huang Tsang's voice, which was trembling from anger, resounded. He clenched his fists tightly before relaxing them. A cold sneer appeared on his face. Very good. Very good. From today onwards, I don't want to see you again. After saying that, Huang Tsang condensed his palm, and thousands of light patterns gathered toward his left eye. Buzz, under a ball of red light. Huang Tsang's left eye immediately left his eye socket. Then, a ball of soft light appeared in Huang Tsang's empty eye socket, and another eye grew out. And the eye that left Huang Tsang's eye socket actually emitted a demonic purple light. That pitch-black pupil flickered with a demonic light. Immediately, Huang Tsang waved his hand, and the eye shrouded in purple light flew towards Mo Ching Li below the hall. The latter stretched out her blood-stained hand and carefully put it into a transparent crystal bottle. Her face was filled with a gratified smile. This smile, in Chisho's eyes, was simply heart-wrenching. She took back Chu Hen's eye and smiled. The first smile she had shown in days. But it was so difficult. It was so heartbreaking and unbearable. Thank you, Father. Mo Ching Li stood up shakily. Get lost, Huang Tsang shouted. Mo Ching Li turned around and walked out of the hall. Her steps were like a butterfly in the wind. Your Highness, Chisho wanted to chase after her, but was stopped by Huang Tsang. Don't care about her. Clang. At this moment, there was a sudden clap of thunder and a cold wind. Bolts of lightning shuttled through the dark clouds. Accompanied by a sudden gust of cold wind, heavy rain poured down. Mo Ching Li's lonely figure slowly disappeared in the curtain of rain, like a butterfly with broken wings swallowed by the wind and rain. Thanks to Brother Tian who loves to read, Wan Shang. There's an update today. Chapter 15:13. 1 second to remember. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. Quang Dang. Boom. The torrential rain poured down like water from the sky. The thunder and lightning were like the claws of a giant dragon tearing through the sky. At this moment, a thin figure with a weak aura was struggling to move forward in the rain. Red blood flowed from the corner of her left eye to her cheek, then quickly diluted under the washing of the rain. Her already slender body was now even weaker. An intense pain spread from her left eye to the rest of her body. Mo Ching Li, on the other hand, had a splitting headache. Her remaining eye became more and more blurry. Under the impact of the rain, she couldn't even see clearly what was in front of her. She was swaying, like a butterfly whose wings had been drenched by the rain. Mo Ching Li stumbled through the puddles of water in the forest with great difficulty. In her arms, there was a crystal bottle. She hugged it tightly, as if it was the treasure of her life. Wait for me. I'll go back and find you. Mo Ching Li mumbled to herself. This was her stubbornness. It was also her fault, but it was also her pain. Some people were in pain because they were betrayed by someone important to them. Some people were in pain because they betrayed someone important to them. In this world, everyone was trying their best to live. Especially when there was no other choice, the pain would be magnified infinitely. I'm sorry, Emo Qingli ran, hugging the important thing that she had exchanged her dignity and her eye for. She ran with all her might in the rain. As she cried, she kept repeating the 3 words, "I'm sorry." That day, when she took that person's eye, how much guilt did she have to bear? Every time she thought of that person's cold eyes and indifferent expression, Emo Qingli's sorrow would be unbearable. But, no matter what, she just wanted to return that person's eye back to him. Bang! Emo Qingli, who was in a terrible condition, stepped on empty air and was sent flying. She fell heavily into the puddle of water, her whole body soaked. The coldness had never been so piercing before. Emo Qingli immediately checked the crystal bottle in her hand. Seeing that the bottle was not damaged, she heaved a sigh of relief. Then, she crawled up from the ground again. But the next moment, an intense headache made her vision go black, and she fell powerlessly to the ground. Clang! Thunder rumbled in the sky, and torrential rain poured down. At this moment, a young man and a young woman walked over from the other side of the forest. A person's body flickered with purple light. One of them was shining with a golden, holy radiance. No matter how much the storm raged, it was unable to wet their clothes at all. The 2 of them walked towards Emo Qingli, who was lying in the rain. The other party had already fallen into a completely unconscious state, and his aura was extremely weak. Chu Hen quietly looked at the battered and exhausted man, especially when he saw the crystal bottle in his arms and the bloody left eye socket. An inexplicable coldness flashed across Chu Hen's eyes. Behind her, Bai Qinyu gently clenched her jade-like hands and looked at Chu Hen beside her. Shortly after, Chu Hen knelt down beside him. He was the first to reach for the crystal bottle in Emo Qingli's hands. Even though he was unconscious, he held the crystal bottle tightly. "Father, please, I beg you." A vague and indistinct murmur could be heard before it fell silent again. Chu Hen paused, then took the crystal bottle from his hand. The bottle opened, and with a slight rhythmic movement, the purple eye inside floated out. Looking at the purple eye that had been lost and regained, Chu Hen raised his hand and took it into his palm. Then, Chu Hen put his palm into his left eye socket. Hum! A soft light overflowed, and the left eye was immediately taken out. The left eye that had been taken off immediately emitted an incomparably holy golden holy light. Then, Chu Hen put his other eye back into the left eye socket. He closed his eyes gently, then suddenly opened them. A pair of evil purple eyes instantly surged with a powerful aura that distorted space. This was the power that Chu Hen was familiar with. The difference between 1 and 2 demon eyes was too obvious. Although Bai Qian had replaced 1 demon eye with the god eye, while the new power increased, the power of the demon eye was also greatly weakened. For Chu Hen, a pair of demon eyes could truly display the power of the bloodline limit. The demonic purple light retreated. Chu Hen's gaze was as cold as ice as he looked at Emo Qingli's pale face that didn't have a single trace of blood. Then, Chu Hen actually extended the hand that was holding the golden divine eye towards Emo Qingli's left cheek. A beautiful golden light overflowed from Chu Hen's palm, and strands of light lines connected to Emo Qingli's left eye socket. The remaining blood in the eye socket was quickly purified and removed. Then, the golden light in Chu Hen's palm converged into Emo Qingli's left eye. Bai Qinyu, who was behind him, clenched her jade-like hands. She wanted to say something, but hesitated. Soon, the wound in Emo Qingli's left eye stopped bleeding. At the same time, the golden eye under her eyelid, flickering with holy light, slowly merged with it. After completing this, Chu Hen slowly got up and turned to look at Bai Qinyu. "Before I find a suitable replacement, lend it to me for a while. I will return it to you in the future." After all, it was the White Thearka's divine eye. To Bai Qinyu and the holy-eyed sacred clan, it was incomparably precious. Chu Hen's tone was somewhat apologetic. Bai Qinyu smiled. "I have already given it to you. You have the right to use it." "Thank you," Chu Hen said softly. "I owe you." Bai Qinyu's beautiful eyes were like ripples. She smiled mischievously. It seems like you owe me a lot. Think about how you will pay me back in the future. Chuhen also smiled. Okay, I will think about it seriously. After a pause, Chuhen continued. Take her back first. Bai Qinyu didn't understand. Where are you going? Since he had already gotten the demon eye back, there was no need to go to Maple Wing Sky Valley. Chuhen's gaze turned to the depths of the red maple forest. This is something that should be taken back. Clang. Outside the main hall, thunder roared. Flashes of lightning illuminated the inside and outside of the palace. There was no one around. Huang Tsang sat alone on the throne, his face dark and gloomy. In front of him, there were scrolls and books scattered all over the floor. And in the middle of the main hall, drops of blood that had not completely dried were like blooming flower petals, especially eye-catching. Thinking back to the scene just now, Huang Tsang was both shocked and angry. He really couldn't understand why his daughter, who had never disobeyed him, would do something like this. You bastard, you've lost all my face. Huang Tsang, who was getting angrier, had a belly full of fire. Looks like you're just angry? Suddenly, at this moment, a cold voice came from the entrance of the main hall. Who is it? Huang Tsang was shocked. Clang! Silver lightning flashed in the sky. Under the illumination of the lightning, a slender figure with a cold aura could be seen standing in front of the main hall. Don't you feel sorry? Your own daughter was tricked by you. The calm tone was like a pearl, but each word was like a pearl. Huang Tsang suddenly stood up, a cold chill covering his entire body. How dare you? Who are you? How dare you talk nonsense in front of this emperor? Who am I? You should be very clear. Zhang. Rapid and strong energy stacked up. The invisible pressure directly distorted the entire space in the main hall. Lightning locked the space, piercing through heaven and earth. In front of the dark main hall, a pair of demonic purple eyes coldly stared at Huang Tsang above the main hall. Thank you, Pigeon King, for your reward. Good night, everyone. Chapter 15:14. You should know what kind of person I am. Rumble. Lightning locked the sky, and torrential rain poured down. Under the dazzling lightning radiance, a pair of demonic and enchanting purple pupils coldly swept across Huang Tsang, who was in the palace. It's you. Huang Tsang's eyes surged with dense coldness. Sensing the familiar and powerful eye power, Huang Tsang suddenly stood up and clenched his fists. How dare you? The demon eye has already been returned to you. But you actually dare to barge in here. Humph. A frivolous sneer appeared on Chu Hen's face. I only have some words that I want to say to you face to face. While I'm at it, I'll let you know that a different species like you can't control the power of the demon eye. Boom. As soon as his words fell, the ground behind Chu Hen exploded. Along with the rapidly cracking and crumbling palace floor tiles, a gigantic fiend god-like purple hand pierced through the ground and charged out. Immediately afterward, a series of deep and dark cracks spread out in all directions, and a monstrous purple pillar of light pierced through the ground, like a raging storm of destruction. Rumble. What's going on? What's that? The sacred winged heavenly flame bird clan was startled by the sudden commotion. Shocked gazes swept towards the luxurious palace at the same time. Boom! Spiderweb-like cracks instantly covered the interior and exterior of the palace. In the next instant, the entrance of the palace collapsed. Under the envelopment of the purple light, a massive purple demonic spirit covered in heavy armor suddenly appeared in the storm. This is... Chi-Shou and the other clan guards, who were rushing over, also had a change of expression. What a powerful aura! Could this be the legendary battle, soul, demonic spirit that can only be summoned by the 7-star demon eye? The entire sacred winged heavenly flame bird clan was shocked and trembling. Clang! Shortly after, the purple demonic spirit that looked like an ancient demonic god burst out with tens of thousands of lightning pillars. The purple lightning snake and the green lightning python intertwined and intertwined. In the storm, they were like the terrifying wizard spirit that was in charge of the apocalyptic punishment. Looking from afar, countless violent and terrifying thunderbolts gathered in front of him. The air was filled with the yin and yang qi, Sun Luo Force, 7-star Radiance, and many other powerful elemental powers. Under many incredulous gazes, the demonic spirit actually forcibly combined these forces that should have repelled each other. Lord Clan Emperor. Qi quickly recovered from his shock. Xiao. After saying that, Qi and the other experts in the area hurriedly flew forward. Great Demon Slayer Sword. Domain, Extreme, Chaos, Transformation. Clang. Boom. Before Qi and the others could get close, a heaven-shaking violent explosion instantly erupted in the palace. A crimson devil-slaying sword and a dazzling thunderbolt clashed together. Along with thousands of dazzling beams of light, the enormous palace disintegrated in an instant. All the stone pillars, big and small, were shattered into pieces. The uncontrollable aftermath was like a torrent that broke through a dam. The ground rapidly caved in all directions. The earth-shattering rubble was like a swarm of locusts that filled the sky. The drifting rain in the sky was swept away as well. Qi and the other experts were sent flying. Many people even fell to the ground from the impact. The blood in their bodies churned, and they vomited blood. Boom! In the next instant, a majestic black light pillar erupted from the dazzling purple storm. Following that, the powerful demonic aura that originated from above the palace was suddenly suppressed. Then, the incomparably furious purple air wave pounced and invaded the entire palace. Your Majesty? Qi expression changed drastically. He hurriedly steadied himself and rushed forward. What entered Qi eyes was a stretch of ruins. The majestic central palace had completely disappeared. The chaotic whirlwind raged wantonly. In the ruins, only the throne room remained. It was in a state of desolation and was full of cracks. At this moment, on the throne room that was full of cracks, Huangsang's face was filled with shock. His eyes were wide open, and his distorted facial features showed a trace of malevolence. A cold and indifferent face was reflected in his trembling pupils. The two of them were very close. Huangsang sat on the throne. A black longsword that was flickering with sharp electric arcs directly pierced through the other party's chest. The blood-stained blade pierced through the other party's back and nailed the stone chair behind him. In front of him, Chu Hen's right hand held the sword in a reverse grip, while his left palm pressed against the bottom of the sword hilt. The swift and fierce, formless emperor blade pierced deeply into the opponent's body in a frontal assault. The battle ended in an instant. Chu Hen's demonic purple eyes stared coldly at Huangsang's eyes. It was like the gaze of a death god that emitted infinite majesty. Let me ask you, do you feel the fear brought by this pair of eyes? Huangsang's body trembled slightly. It was as if his soul was exposed under the other party's sharp blade. Your Majesty? Qi and the other experts who rushed over were shocked and angry when they saw this. Stop! Let him go! More than a dozen people exploded with a biting cold intent. They all raised their weapons and rushed forward. In the next instant, Chu Hen suddenly turned his head. His cold purple eyes trembled. Buzz! Along with a strong wave of space shaking, the destruction demon spirit at the back of the hall directly raised its giant claws and swung towards the crowd. Bang, bang, bang. The terrifying lightning that erupted from the destruction demon spirit's arms sent everyone flying by the bolts of lightning. When Qi saw the approaching person and the pair of demonic purple eyes on his face clearly, his heart was filled with shock. Little brother, Chu Hen. Chu Hen glanced out of the corner of his eye. His cold eyes immediately turned to Qi. The moment the two's eyes met, Qi only felt a deep shudder and fear in his soul. You. Qi was shocked and suspicious. Get lost, Chu Hen said coldly. Stop, little brother Chu Hen. He is the princess' father. I told you to get lost. Didn't you hear me? Chu Hen's voice was bone-piercingly cold like an icicle. Rumble, rumble, a vast and vigorous purple light swept out. The ground cracked inch by inch. An unparalleled majestic aura directly crushed towards Qi and the others. The latter's expression changed drastically. Before he could react, a violent impact sent him flying again. Then, Chu Hen's gaze returned to Huang Tsang's dark and livid face. You still only have anger? My Majesty. Chu Hen's voice was low and cold. The corner of Huang Tsang's mouth drew back, revealing a cold smile. Heh, do you think you can kill me? What do you think? With your current appearance, do you have the qualifications to talk to me? Ha ha. Huang Tsang laughed, a somewhat crazy sneer. If it wasn't for my cultivation being greatly damaged, do you think I would have the ability to be so arrogant here? Heh. The corner of Chu Hen's mouth also twitched, revealing a disdainful arc. Since I, Chu Hen, can defeat you once, I can suppress you for a lifetime. But what you need to consider now is whether I will spare you. Crack. A sharp purple light flashed in his eyes. Strands of electric arcs were like thunder snakes quickly scuttling up and down the body of the formless Emperor Blade. Merciless killing intent spread in all directions. Drifting heavy rain, sprinkling the sky. Thank you, Brother Little Dolphin 60901674 for the reward. These days, the brothers' rewards are a bit fierce. I am embarrassed to ask for leave. No matter what, thank you everyone for your support. I will do my best. This book came from Chapter 1515. Since I, Chu Hen, can defeat you once, I can suppress you for the rest of your life. Crack. The beautiful purple lightning intertwined with the dark green lightning quickly scurried up and down the formless Imperial Blade's blade. A piercingly cold, murderous intent washed down along with the pouring rain. Chu Hen's cold purple eyes were filled with disdain as he stared at Huang Tsang's ferocious face. What you need to consider now is whether or not I will let you go. Huang Tsang's eyes were wide open, cold and filled with hatred. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Cut the crap. Do you think I don't dare? The corner of Chu Hen's mouth curled up into a mocking smile. Chi Shou and the others, who were isolated by the blazing desolation demon spirit, had a drastic change in expression. Buzz, suddenly, at this moment, a circle of red light that looked like a starry halo suddenly swept over from the back of the sacred winged heavenly flame birds. It was accompanied by a huge, violent crushing force. Bang! A heavy sound reverberated. The Nirvana demon spirit behind Chu Hen, that looked like a giant god of war, was directly smashed into pieces by the invading force. In the next instant, the circle of red light continued to whiz down, rapidly pouncing on Chu Hen, who was on the throne room. Whoosh! The corner of Chu Hen's eyes turned cold, and a wisp of black light surged in his demonic eyes. Boom! The throne room beneath Chu Hen cracked open once again. Then, a huge black shadow that looked like a demon god broke through the ground and appeared behind Chu Hen. Bang! In an instant, the black shadow was like a protective demon god that blocked the red circle of light's shockwave. The shockwave surged, and the rocks cracked. The mighty and ferocious shockwaves stacked up like raging waves, directly collapsing the entire Imperial Hall. What is this? The faces of the sacred winged heavenly flame birds changed again. Pairs of eyes filled with shock stared at the huge black shadow that appeared behind Chu Hen. Its silhouette resembled Chu Hen's clone. However, the aura it emitted was even more strange and domineering than the Nirvana demon spirit. When it is possible to let someone off, one should forgive them. I hope your excellency will be magnanimous. At the same time, an old voice rang in everyone's ears. The expressions of Chi Shou and the others changed. In the sky above the central main hall that had been turned into ruins, an illusory and ethereal figure appeared. His entire body was twisting and turning, as if he was enveloped in a ball of flames. Although he couldn't see the person's appearance clearly, he could tell from the outline that it was an old man. "Eight Sparrow Ancestor!" Chi Shou cried out in alarm. Wah! After that, the entire sacred winged heavenly flame bird clan burst into an uproar. Everyone's face was filled with great reverence. This respect came from the bottom of one's heart. He didn't seem to be threatened by the pressure at all. It really is the 8 Sparrow Ancestors. The 8 Sparrow race hasn't shown themselves for over 1,000 years. I thought he had left the clan long ago. Looking at the illusory figure shrouded in flames, the sacred-winged heavenly flame bird clan worshipped him as if he was a god. Chuhen also felt an extremely enormous pressure coming from the other party's body. However, there was no fear on Chuhen's face. "Who are you?" "This old man is just a man who doesn't care about worldly affairs. This matter is indeed our sacred-winged heavenly flame bird clan's fault, but I hope your excellency will give this old man some face and stop now." The old man's voice was calm and gentle, giving off a transcendent feeling as if he was watching the wind and rain calmly. Chuhen's expression softened slightly. Then, a cold light flashed in the corner of his eyes. Hiss! A string of blood danced in the air as the sharp, formless archblade was pulled out of Huang Tsang's chest. The latter's body shook, and his trembling hands clenched into fists. "I'm sparing your life not because of any face, but because you are her father. This is the last time." After saying that, the black god-fiend shadow behind Chu Hen slowly retracted. At the same time, he held the archblade and slowly walked down the throne room that was riddled with holes. "Heh!" At this moment, Huang Tsang's mocking sneer came from behind. "If you stop now, once I recover my strength, I will look for you." After all, he was the king of the sacred-winged heavenly flame bird clan. From the beginning to the end, Huang Tsang wasn't intimidated by Chu Hen, even though he was so close to death just now. As soon as he said that, Chu Hen stopped moving. Seeing this, Qi Shou and the others quickly gathered around Huang Tsang to prevent Chu Hen from retaliating. However, Chu Hen didn't do anything. He looked to the side, and a pair of purple pupils surged with a restless power. "Come at me if you can, but I have to remind you." His voice paused for a moment before suddenly erupting with endless coldness. "If you don't want your clan to be exterminated." Zung! A loud and clear sound wave reverberated in all directions. Chu Hen's entire body emitted the cold arrogance of an ancient demon god. The rising black flames were like the aura of a demon god burning outside his body. Clang! The divine lightning locked the sky like a dragon's claw, tearing the sky apart. This time, Huang Tsang's heart couldn't help but tremble. He actually felt an indescribable fear. Everyone in the clan had a drastic change in expression. It was as if they were in the middle of a storm. Looking at Chu Hen's gradually disappearing figure in the storm jade, Eight Sparrow Ancestor, who was shrouded in red flames, couldn't help but let out a sigh. "I didn't think that my sacred wing Heavenly Flame Sparrow clan would provoke such a terrifying person. I'm afraid that Maple Wing Sky Valley won't have peace in the future." "Umph." Huang Tsang snorted coldly. "Eight Sparrow Ancestor, you overestimate him. Just a pair of demon eyes, and he wants to exterminate my clan? If it's just a pair of demon eyes, then it's fine. But his second bloodline boundary, even I am afraid." "What did you say? His second bloodline boundary?" Huang Tsang frowned. Suddenly, the domineering and strange black god-fiend shadow appeared on him. "Huang Tsang. Oh, Huang Tsang, I originally shouldn't care about the clan's matters. If it wasn't for the situation today, I wouldn't have shown myself. This time, you've provoked someone you shouldn't have. Good luck in the future." After saying that, the dreamy red shadow dissipated into the world like a cloud of smoke that had been burned out. At this moment, the entire Sacred Wing Heavenly Flame Sparrow clan was in a state of panic. All of them looked at each other with pale faces. Eight Sparrow Ancestor. He's just trying to scare us, right? But with Eight Sparrow Ancestor's personality, he never likes to scare people. Just who is that person? Uneasiness and fear slowly spread. Many experts in the clan, including Huang Tsang and Qi Shou, found it hard to calm their restless hearts. The boundary between two bloodlines. One of them was the Demon Eye, one of the 10 strongest sacred physiques. The other one, even Eight Sparrow Ancestor, who had lived for countless years, felt afraid. It was undeniably shocking. "Come at me if you can, if you don't want to be exterminated." These words echoed in Huang Tsang's mind. The other's gaze before he left was soul-piercing. Since he's such a huge threat, why didn't Eight Sparrow Ancestor kill him in the cradle? Someone in the crowd asked suspiciously. It's not that 8 Sparrow ancestor didn't want to attack. It's just that even he wasn't 100% sure he could stop him. At least we have a way out now. But if even 8 Sparrow ancestor fails and lets him escape, we will really be exterminated in the future. Everyone's faces were ugly, especially Chi Shou. His expression was especially complicated. It was hard to believe that the young man who came back with Mo Qingli was actually so difficult to deal with. What a pity, Chi Shou muttered to himself. He was extremely regretful that they ended up in such a situation. They were supposed to be friends and not enemies. But now, they had become the Sacred Wing Heavenly Flame Sparrow's biggest threat. I wonder how Her Highness is doing. Chi Shou shook his head helplessly. Other than sighing, there was nothing he could do. Chapter 15:16. 1 second to remember. Wonderful free reading without a pop-up window. After the rain, in a quiet forest, the smell of moist soil floated. Sparkling and translucent water droplets hung between the crisp branches and leaves. Under the sunlight, they shone like diamonds that had fallen to the ground. In a small house in the bamboo forest, the air was especially fresh and cool. Opening the window, the mountain breeze that passed through the house was like a silk veil caressing one's face. I'm sorry, Chu Hen. At this time, Mo Qingli, who was lying on a bamboo bed, seemed to have broken free from the claws of a nightmare and suddenly sat up. The pain from her left eye instantly caused her delicate body to tremble. She subconsciously touched her left eye, only to find that it was wrapped in a layer of bandage. You're awake. A gentle and calm female voice came from the window. Mo Qingli tilted his head to look. What entered his line of sight was a beautiful silhouette that could cause the downfall of a country. Mo Qingli couldn't help but be startled. Although she was also a heavenly beauty, looking at the person in front of her, she still felt a little stunned. You are. Mo Qingli looked at Bai Qinyu with some doubt. The person's figure and appearance seemed a little familiar, but she couldn't remember where she had seen him before. Then, Mo Qingli immediately turned left and right, as if looking for something. Where's my thing? Where is it? She looked especially flustered, as if she had lost the most important treasure. Don't worry, he already got the demon eye back. Bai Qinyu said. Mo Qingli was stunned. She looked up at the person. Really? Yes. Bai Qinyu nodded. Then where is he? Bai Qinyu didn't answer. Her delicate eyebrows showed some complexity. And then, Mo Qingli's expression immediately became gloomy. She muttered to herself, That's right. I treated him like that. Why would he still want to see me? Just as she finished speaking, a young figure with a bit of a traveler's aura appeared at the door. Bai Qinyu's beautiful eyes moved. You're back, Chu Hen. Mo Qingli's pretty face changed, a little panicked. You can already speak. Looks like you're getting better. Chu Hen walked straight into the house with a hint of gentleness between his brows. Mo Qingli, on the other hand, was extremely uneasy. Like a little girl who had done something wrong, she didn't even dare to look him in the eye. You don't dare to look at me? Chu Hen sat on the edge of the bed. Mo Qingli bit her lips. If it's to apologize, then don't say it. Just take it as me repaying the debt I owe you. Chu Hen said softly. He clearly remembered that back in the Eastern Victory State, Chu Hen had gone to the Thunder Saint Palace alone. At that time, an intense battle of life and death had erupted between him and the Thunder Saint Palace Master, Lei Aoqiong. That time, Mo Qingli blocked Lei Aoqiong's attack for him, which allowed Chu Hen to escape unscathed. Because of that incident, Mo Qingli fell into a deep sleep. It was also during the period of her slumber. Chu Hen passed by the Immortal and Devil Tomb and met Bai Qinyu. Therefore, even though Mo Qingli had been living in Chu Hen's Purple Palace, because of the memory loss during her slumber, she didn't recognize the beautiful woman in front of her. She also didn't know what had happened between Chu Hen and Bai Qinyu. Mo Qingli's hands were clenched into fists, her nails digging deep into her palms. At this moment, she didn't know how to face Chu Hen. Betraying his trust once was like a nail hammered into a wooden board. Even if the nail was pulled out again, the traces of its existence couldn't be erased. I'm sorry. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito's. I know that wasn't your intention. Moreover, didn't you already get it back? Chu Hen said. Mo Qingli looked at him. Are you really not angry at me anymore? Chu Hen revealed a clean and bright smile. You're acting very strange. Weren't you very cold before? Did you break your brain? Mo Qingli's heart was greatly comforted by the relaxed tone of his words. At this time, Bai Qinyu said softly, You could take off the gauze on your face. At the mention of the gauze, Mo Qingli subconsciously turned her head away. She shook her head. No need. Just leave it like this. Her expression was a little gloomy. Take it off, Chu Hen said. No, it'll be ugly. Mo Qingli gritted her teeth. It won't, trust me. As he spoke, Chu Hen directly reached behind Mo Qingli's head and the gauze slid down. Mo Qingli hurriedly covered her left eye with her hand. Don't block it. Try opening your eye. Chu Hen comforted. Hearing his words, Mo Qingli slowly opened her left eye. Something unexpected happened. Through the gap between her fingers, she could clearly see the things and people in front of her. What is this? Mo Qingli was shocked and confused. She clearly remembered that her left eye was blinded by the ice soul needle. There was no way it could regenerate. Immediately, she was a little surprised and moved her hand away. Wah! In an instant, a strong spatial rhythm swept out. Along with the rapid flow of air, Mo Qingli's left eye suddenly shone with a holy light. This is? Mo Qingli's heart trembled. Her face was full of astonishment. She could clearly feel that there was an extremely powerful force surging in her left eye. The power of the eye of God. Bai Qinyu softly explained. Her red lips were slightly pursed. Her beautiful eyes overflowed with complex emotions. Xiao! Then, the golden light that was emitted converged. Mo Qingli's left eye shone with a faint golden light, forming a sharp contrast with her right eye that was like a ruby. Eye of God. Mo Qingli was especially shocked and surprised. And Chu Hen nodded. That's it for the time being. You rest well. As he finished speaking, Chu Hen helped the confused Mo Qingli lie down. Then, he exchanged a glance with Bai Qinyu. The two understood each other and walked out the door. The air after the rain was very cool. The bamboo forest in front of him had been washed clean, and it looked like beautiful jade growing out of the ground. How was it? Bai Qinyu and Chu Hen walked side by side to the side of the pavilion by the stream. Chu Hen shook his head. I met an old monster and couldn't kill Huang Tsang. Old monster? And something called the 8th Sparrow Ancestor. His cultivation is unfathomable. If he wanted to keep me here, I probably wouldn't be able to come back today. Chu Hen's eyes were filled with caution. The Sacred Wing Heavenly Flame Sparrow clan was one of the strongest clans in the Demon region. It was not surprising that there was such an old monster hidden in the clan. Moreover, Huang Tsang had been locked up in the Wailing Abyss for many years. His cultivation was still in a damaged state. If Huang Tsang was at his peak, Chu Hen wouldn't have much confidence. Overall, it was too risky for Chu Hen to break into the Sacred Wing Heavenly Flame Sparrow clan alone. Now that he thought about it, he was still a little scared. However, even if he gave Chu Hen another choice, he would still find Huang Tsang again. Even without that old monster, you wouldn't have killed Huang Tsang, right? Bai Qinyu said. Chu Hen raised his eyebrows slightly and said with a smile, Do you know me very well? It seems like we only met on the second, third, fourth time. That's right. I'm also very confused. Every time we met, I was the one who saved you. Did I? Chu Hen pretended to be confused. Bai Qinyu raised her thin eyebrows, and the corner of her mouth raised into a very charming smile. If one thought about it carefully, every time the two of them met, it was Bai Qinyu who saved Chu Hen. Back in the immortal devil tomb, Bai Qinyu not only awakened Chu Hen who had gone mad, but also helped him get rid of the pursuers of the Light Sacred Clan. Later on, in the demon region near the God-forbidden blood prison border, she was also the one who brought Chu Hen out in time. Including this time, they had only met 4 times, but she had helped Chu Hen a total of 4 times. Even Chu Hen felt that he owed her too much. Just as Bai Qinyu said, even if the 8 Sparrow Ancestors did not interfere today, Chu Hen would not have killed Huang Tsang. No matter what, he was still Mo Qingli's father. Just based on the fact that Mo Qingli had destroyed one of her eyes for Chu Hen could not harden his heart. Some people were in pain because of the betrayal of the people important to them. Some people were in even more pain because of the betrayal of the people important to them. In this matter, Mo Qingli was definitely the one who was in the most pain. She had betrayed the two most important people at the same time. The sacred winged heavenly flame sparrow race could no longer tolerate her. If Chu Hen did not forgive her, that would be really too pitiful. Because the biggest mistake did not lie with her. You are from the holy-eyed sacred clan, right? Chu Hen suddenly said. Yes. Why? Bai Qinyu replied casually. Then do you know what happened to the demonic-eyed sacred clan? Chapter 15-17. You're from the divine I Saint clan, right? Yeah. Why? Then do you know what happened to the demonized Saint clan? With regard to Chu Hen's sudden question, Bai Qinyu couldn't help but be startled for a moment. Her bright and beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light. She asked, Didn't you come from the Demon Eye clan? Chu Hen shook his head. I know nothing except that I have a pair of demon eyes. Nothing. Chu Hen's voice had a hint of bitterness. He started from the Saint Star dynasty and walked step by step to where he was today. His background was still a mystery. What about your parents? Bai Qinyu asked. Chu Hen shook his head again, and a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. I once saw my parents through the martial ancestors' time wheel. I also saw the disaster that befell the Demon Eye clan, but those scenes were just fragments of memory, and I only got this bit of information. When a person is born, their memories are very messy and fragmented. However, things that have been seen and heard by the eyes and ears will be left in the mind in the form of shallow imprints. These things will not be remembered at all after they grow up. This part of the memory is called sleeping. Moreover, the time wheel of martial ancestor was able to recreate the scenes and sounds that one had seen and heard when one was young. In other words, what one could see in the time wheel was the scene that Chu Hen had witnessed. As for what he had not experienced, or what he had experienced while he was asleep, he would not have any memory of it. For Chu Hen, who had just been born not long ago, most of his time was spent in a sleeping state. Therefore, the effective memory that Chu Hen obtained was especially incomplete. Then did you see clearly who attacked the Demon Eye clan? Bai Qinyu clenched her lily-white hands into fists and looked at him solemnly. No. Chu Hen looked puzzled. All of their faces were covered, and they did not reveal their identity. Bai Qinyu pursed her red lips slightly, feeling somewhat disappointed. She paused for a moment, then said, To be able to reach the 7-star demon eye at your age, your bloodline must be very pure. I think you should be from the main bloodline. You should have a guardian by your side. Guardian? Hearing these 3 words, Chu Hen could not help but think of that gentle, refined, and peaceful middle-aged man, Li Wuxiang. Ever since they parted ways in the 100 Nations state, it had been many years since he last saw him. From the scene in the time wheel, Ning Cheng concluded that Li Wuxiang was the guardian who took him away from the Demon Eye clan. Therefore, to solve all the questions in his heart, he had to find Li Wuxiang. Do you think that the Demon Eye clan has been annihilated? Chu Hen suddenly said. What make you think so? Bai Qinyu asked. I heard it from Senior Jun Jianga. He said that the fate of the Demon Eye clan is similar to that of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. Chu Hen's expression carried a trace of loneliness. However, Bai Qinyu firmly denied it. No matter what, the Demon Eye clan is one of the 10 strongest holy clans. They have a very strong foundation. It's impossible for them to be annihilated so easily. It's just that the outside world doesn't know where they live now. Moreover, Bai Qinyu paused, then continued. This time, you made such a big scene in Midland. The Demon Eye clan will receive the news sooner or later. When that time comes, they will naturally find you. Hearing you say that, I feel much more relaxed. Chu Hen let out a deep sigh of relief. His eyes also revealed some relief. I just want to know where my parents are now. Are they well? What are your parents' names? Mo Qingli asked softly. Li Jixia. Chu Hen said, My mother's name is Li Jixia, and my father's name is Chu Ran. Before he could finish, a panicked voice suddenly came from the room in the bamboo house. Chu Hen was startled and immediately ran towards the bamboo house. He pushed the door open, only to see Mo Qingli covered in sweat, her eyes closed, her hands tightly gripping a corner of the blanket, and her mouth murmuring indistinctly. Even in her sleep, she felt like she was trapped in a swamp, struggling incessantly. Chu Hen walked in and sat down on the side of the bed. He used his sleeves to gently wipe away the sweat on her forehead. "Father, father, don't force me. Please, please," give him back his eyes. The indistinct dream gradually subsided. Chu Hen couldn't help but feel a little heartache as he looked at the other party's appearance. One could imagine how big a blow this matter was to Mo Qingli. Outside the door, Bai Qinyu did not enter the house. She glanced at Chu Hen's back with a slightly complicated expression, then turned to look elsewhere. Li Jixia? That name sounds familiar. A few days later, on the quiet edge of the pool, Chu Hen sat alone on a rock on the shore. The ripples on the water surface, along with the flow of the surrounding air, formed a strange resonance rhythm. If one looked closely, they would find that the water surface was faintly swaying with dense water droplets. These water balls seemed to be free of gravity, suspended in mid-air. "It's a little strange." Chu Hen seemed a little confused. He reached out to touch his left eye. It was indeed his demon eye, but he vaguely felt that something was not quite right. Then, Chu Hen got up and walked back. Just as he was leaving, two beautiful figures with extraordinary temperament also came this way. Chu Hen's eyes lit up. He looked at Bai Qinyu walking in front of him and said, "I was going to look for you." Bai Qinyu responded softly. Chu Hen was about to speak, but suddenly froze. He was surprised to find that Mo Qingli's original golden left eye had turned into a jewel-like red. "This is?" Chu Hen was a little surprised. He walked up to take a closer look. The left and right eyes were exactly the same, both red pupils. There seemed to be nothing unusual about them. The same color? For the god's eye, changing the normal color of the pupil is very easy. Bai Qinyu explained. "It's all thanks to Miss Bai," Mo Qingli said gratefully. "These days, she has been teaching me how to control the eye's power." Chu Hen was stunned. To be honest, Chu Hen was planning to find another substitute for Mo Qingli after he returned to the Midland. He didn't think that Bai Qinyu would take the initiative to teach Mo Qingli how to use the power of the spirit eye, which was more or less unexpected. "Is it okay?" Chu Hen looked at Bai Qinyu's delicate eyes and asked. Bai Qinyu shook her head. "It's okay. Before this, I had already gained a large part of the eye's power. It's not as useful to me as before. I don't know if it's because I didn't store it well, but the power of the god's eye has weakened a lot. I think we should put it in a living body so that it can be preserved forever." Chu Hen nodded. Since the other party had already said so, Chu Hen didn't say anything else. However, this eye was brought by Bai Qinyu. If one day she wanted it back, whether it was Chu Hen or Mo Qingli, they would return it without hesitation. Then, Chu Hen asked Mo Qingli, "Can you get used to it? I can barely use part of its power." Mo Qingli replied. After all, it was a transplanted god's eye. Mo Qingli herself didn't have the bloodline of the Holy Clan, so she couldn't use its full power. Even so, this eye's power couldn't be ignored. "Since you've almost recovered, let's go back," Chu Hen said. "Midland?" Mo Qingli didn't seem to have completely let go of the grudge in her heart. Yes, the Sacred Wing Heavenly Flame Bird Clan couldn't tolerate Mo Qingli anymore. Other than the Midland, she had nowhere else to go. But Mo Qingli looked hesitant. Then, a warm and strong hand gently rested on her shoulder. Just like before, let bygones be bygones. Hearing Chu Hen's words and seeing the warmth in his eyes, Mo Qingli's eyes turned slightly red. "What about you?" Chu Hen looked at Bai Qinyu. "Are you going back to the God Eye clan, or either is fine? If you invite me." Bai Qinyu raised her eyebrows and smiled faintly. Chu Hen couldn't help but laugh. Then he nodded. "Then let me pay off the debt I owe you first." A few days later, inside the Central Plains, Hidden Sky City, before heading to Maple Wing Sky Valley, Chu Hen had agreed to meet here and prepare to return to the Eastern Domain. "I say, boss, when you left last time, you only took one with you. This time you came back with two." Honestly, what have you done behind our backs? In the courtyard of the city lord's mansion, everyone was very surprised by Qinyu's arrival, especially Mu Feng, who stared at Chu Hen from the corner of his eyes. Mo Qingli had seen him a few times, but this was Bai Qinyu's first time here. What a beautiful sister! Xiao Xiaowan exclaimed in surprise. Then, she touched her little face. Before I saw you, I always thought I was a great beauty. Bai Qinyu smiled politely. You're also very beautiful. Then, she said to the people around her, this is our first time meeting. Sorry to disturb everyone. I'm Bai Qinyu. I'm his creditor. As she spoke, Bai Qinyu pointed at Chu Hen, who was not far away. Creditor? Everyone was stunned. Long Xuan and Yi Yao couldn't help but look at each other. Chu Hen also looked like he didn't know how to explain. Mu Feng hurriedly walked forward with a smile. Hee. So, it's a creditor relationship? May I know how much money our boss owes you? I'll pay it back for him. I'm Mu Feng, the future emperor of the demon domain. After saying that, Mu Feng shook his head and put on a confident smile. His behavior directly attracted Xiao Xiaowan, Yi Yao, and the others to roll their eyes, and secretly scolded, shameless. You're the one who was locked in the cage in the immortal and devil tomb, right? Glad to see you again. Bai Qinyu replied. Chapter 15:18. Are you the one who was locked in the cage in the immortal and devil tomb? It's nice to see you again. Bai Qinyu smiled. Although her voice was very polite, this sentence immediately made Mu Feng feel even more heartbroken. He pretended to be confused and said, Is there such a thing? Did Miss Bai remember wrongly? Of course not. My memory has always been good. Ha ha. Xiao Xiaowan couldn't help but laugh out loud. Yes, he's the one locked in the cage. I remember correctly, huh? Mu Feng suddenly felt as if he was in a cold wind, and his heart was cold. Looking at the other party's appearance, the others also couldn't help but laugh. Little sister, you seem a little familiar. Have you also been to the immortal and devil tomb? Xiao Xiaowan seemed to have a good impression of Bai Qinyu. Bai Qinyu's beautiful eyes wandered, glanced at Chu Hen, and then nodded. Yes, I have been there. Wait, was that also you in the Chaos Devil Domain? The one who came with the strongest sacred clan? The one wearing the mask? Mu Feng also seemed to have thought of something. Upon hearing this, Long Xuan, Yi Yao, Hao Zi, and the others also came to a realization. Yes, it was me. Bai Qinyu gave an affirmative answer. I knew it. Mu Feng suddenly clapped his hands. Why would Chu Hen break into the devil domain with those people? This guy really went to chase a woman. Once again, his secret was exposed. Chu Hen couldn't help but pretend to cough twice, slightly dissolving some of the awkwardness. TSK, boss, you are so unkind. Mu Feng's small eyes were similar to that of a resentful wife, staring at Chu Hen, making him feel uncomfortable. I heard that, little friend. Chu Hen is back. Sorry for not going out to meet you. Ha ha. At this time, a hearty laughter came from outside the door. The newcomer was none other than Hidden Sky City's city lord, Zhao Xuanxiu. Beside him were Shifeng Zi, Zhao Qingyi, and Zhao Qingkai. Brother Chu Hen is here. Before Chu Hen and the others went out to welcome them, a quick-looking little girl ran in first. Chu Hen's eyes lit up. Qing Xue. He recognized the other party. Previously, when he was searching for the Ice Divine Stone for Long Xuan to upgrade her bloodline limit in the North Chuan Ice Domain, he met an orphan of the North Chuan clan. To be honest, Qing Xue was a descendant of the Ice Empress. However, due to a freak combination of factors, Qing Xue was accepted as a disciple by Shifeng Zi. After all, Chu Hen had saved Qing Xue's life in the North Plains Ice region, so Qing Xue had always been extremely grateful to Chu Hen. What a strong Reiki energy wave. He's already a heavenly pattern master. Chu Hen saw through Qing Xue's cultivation in the field of runes at a glance. Wait, this wave of energy wave is Immortal Talisman Tree? Ha ha. As expected of a great Saint King level powerhouse, I really can't hide it from your eyes. Shifeng Zi laughed heartily. Chu Hen was a little surprised. He didn't expect Shifeng Zi to pass on the Immortal Talisman Tree to Qing Xue. It seemed that he really doted on Qing Xue. Senior Shifeng, City Lord, surprised, Chu Hen cupped his fist slightly. Little brother Chu Hen, you don't have to be so polite. It's already an honor for Hidden Sky City to have you visit my humble home. Zhao Xuanxiong laughed heartily. Now, the situation was no longer the same as before. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that Chu Hen could be called the number one among the younger generation of the Midland. The insignificant city, Lord of Hidden Sky City, was not even worth mentioning in front of him. However, even so, Chu Hen was still very polite to Zhao Xuanxiong. City Lord Zhao, you're too polite. Qing Yi, Qing Kai, and I are from the same sect, so you're naturally my elder. You're right, there's no need to be so polite, Shi Fingzi waved his hand. Even if Chu Hen can ascend to the heavens, he's still our junior. Senior Shifeng is right, Chu Hen said with a smile. I'm ashamed. Zhao Xuanxiong shook his head and smiled. Who is this lady? Zhao Qingyi, who was standing behind, saw Bai Qinyu on the other side and asked in confusion. Could she be the Miss Mengshang that you've been talking about? Zhao Qingkai blurted out subconsciously. Wow, she's really beautiful. No wonder you, Chu Hen, would come all the way from the eastern region to look for her. Hearing this, Mu Feng, Yi Yao, Haozi, and the others' expressions all changed. Chu Hen couldn't help but have a strange look in his eyes. Mu Feng immediately winked at Zhao Qingkai. After all, with everyone's eyesight, they could more or less see that there was an ambiguous relationship between Bai Qinyu and Chu Hen. What's wrong with you? Is your face cramping? Zhao Qingkai used the word adorable to its fullest. Then, she walked up happily and extended her hand. Hello, I'm Zhao Qingkai. I've often heard them mention you in the past. You're really beautiful. No wonder Chu Hen can't forget you. Oh my God, Mu Feng was going crazy. It's over. Xiao Xiaowan was already secretly praying for Chu Hen. Yi Yao also began to put her palms together. May the heavens bless big brother Chu Hen so that he doesn't die a horrible death. Bai Qinyu first glanced at Chu Hen, then graciously shook Zhao Qingsai's hand. Hello, I'm Bai Qinyu. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Bai Qinyu. Not Luo Mengchong. A gust of cold wind blew past, and Zhao Qingkai immediately froze on the spot. Afterwards, everyone looked towards Chu Hen at the same time. His figure inexplicably made people feel a sense of desolation. Ha ha ha! Hello! Zhao Qingkai smiled awkwardly, quickly retracting her hand, then looked at Chu Hen with an innocent and fearful expression. Her surname is Bai? Zhao Xuanxiong's eyes narrowed as he softly muttered to himself. There was a hint of inexplicable meaning between his brows. This young woman in front of him, with an outstanding temperament vaguely, had an indescribable air of nobility. This air of nobility seemed to be innate. Even a member of the royal family who was born into an emperor's family could not compare to 1,000th of her temperament. The scene was a little awkward. At this moment, a series of steady footsteps outside the door broke the awkward atmosphere. Everyone subconsciously looked outside. It's Wang Li and Senior Wu Yin, Zhao Qingyi said with some surprise. You came just in time. Mu Feng smiled slyly. Yi Yao elbowed him. You won't die if you speak less. Hee. Mu Feng shrugged his shoulders with a little smugness. Junior Chu Hen is back? As soon as she entered, Wang Li saw Chu Hen standing in front of the crowd. Just arrived today, Chu Hen replied. Such a coincidence. I was worried that you guys had already left. Looks like we don't have to go to the east anymore. Wang Li said. Everyone was startled. Chu Hen revealed a puzzled expression. Sect leader is looking for me? No. Wang Li waved her hand. Then what is it that made the two of you come personally? Sect leader heard that you guys are returning to the east, so he specially asked us to deliver something. Wu Yin smiled. Oh. As soon as she finished speaking, Wang Li waved her hand. Wah! In an instant, the dazzling light illuminated the entire hall, making it look resplendent and dazzling. Everyone's eyes lit up. They saw a dazzling array of treasures on the ground. Divine weapons, pills, martial arts books, secret technique scrolls, and countless precious spirit stones emitted astonishing energy fluctuations. A total of 10 large boxes. This box is for City Lord Zhao. Wu Yin pointed at one of the boxes and said, "The rest is for Junior Chu Hen to bring back to the east." Zhao Xuanxiong was startled. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "No, no, no, I have done nothing. I am indebted to sect leader Dongfang for his kindness. I appreciate it. City Lord Zhao, you don't have to be so polite. This is what you deserve. If you don't accept it, the two of us won't be able to explain ourselves when we return," Wang Li said gently. This accepted. Chu Hen also opened his mouth to persuade. "Senior West Wind has disturbed you for so long. Just treat it as me paying for his food, clothing, housing, and transportation." I'm sorry. Zhao Xuanxiong smiled slightly awkwardly. "It's not a disturbance. I'm the one who didn't let Brother West Wind leave. That's the truth. My father clearly doesn't have any talent, but he's obsessed with runes. Qingxue is already a heavenly rune master, but he's still in the realm of an earth rune master." Zhao Qingkai shook his head and sighed. "City Lord Uncle has been working very hard. The runes I taught him the day before yesterday have all been arranged this morning." Qingxue also very timely added, "Ha ha." It immediately caused a roar of laughter. Zhao Xuanxiong's old face was a little embarrassed, and he hurriedly blinked at Qingxue. He signaled her to stop talking. Indeed, since about a few months ago, the person who taught Zhao Xuanxiong the runes had changed from Shifeng Zi to Qingxue. In Shifeng Zi's words, it was mud can't help a wall. This old man had already smashed the table in anger more than once. In comparison, Qingxue was much easier to coax. Therefore, in the entire Hidden Sky City, Qingxue had already become the group pet. In addition to her obedient personality, many people liked her very much. "Thank Lord Sect Master on my behalf." Looking at the precious divine weapons and treasures on the ground, Chu Hen also felt grateful. "Junior brother Chu Hen, you're treating me like an outsider. If it wasn't for you, the martial sect wouldn't be where it is today," Wang Li said. "Will you guys return to the eastern region?" Wu Yin casually asked. "It should be in the next 2 days. Do you guys want to go to the eastern region?" Chu Hen asked with a smile. "We do want to go, but the martial alliance's initial integration is imminent, and everyone in the sect is extremely busy. If it wasn't for Senior Brother Chio being worried that something might go wrong along the way and insisting that the two of us escort this batch of treasures here, we probably wouldn't even have the time to come out. Let's not talk too much. Since the things have been delivered, we still have to rush back to deal with the matters in the inner province. Have a safe trip. All right, take care. Farewell." "Farewell, everyone." Then everyone cupped their fists and bid farewell. "Brother, shall we go to the eastern region to play as well?" Zhao Qingkai asked. "Sure." Zhao Qingyi seemed to be quite interested as well. "If there's nothing else, let's go together." Chu Hen opened his mouth and invited. "This old man won't be going back." Shifeng Zi waved his hand. "I'm getting old, and I can't handle the torment. But you guys can bring Qingxue out to see the world. She usually stays in the city and doesn't go out much." All right. Chu Hen agreed to Shifeng Zi's suggestion. Eastern region. Qingxue widened her big, lively eyes. She was a little curious and excited. "Can I go out to play?" "Of course. But you have to practice the rune skills that I taught you every day." Shifeng Zi smiled lovingly. "Got it." Qingxue nodded obediently. Then she turned to Zhao Xuanxiong. "Uncle City Governor, you have to practice the rune skills that I taught you every day." The second after she said that, the city governor's mansion burst into laughter again. Calm. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 1519. After staying in Hidden Sky City for a day, Chu Hen, Mu Feng, Long Xuan, Qiao Shaoan, Han Yichuan, and the others who had come from the victorious East Province set off on their way back to the Eastern Domain. Shifeng Zi was still outside the Middle Province, while the others had all gathered together. Apart from the original group, by Qinyu, Imo Qingli, Qingxue, Zhao Qingyi, and Zhao Qingkai were also in the group. After leaving Hidden Sky City, they arrived at the giant Crocodile Bay on the border of the Midland through the teleportation formations between the major cities. After that, they passed through various large islands and arrived at Whale Island City. We're finally at Whale Island City. After crossing this ocean, we'll be in the Eastern Domain. The weather was pleasant, and the sun was shining brightly. These young men and women standing on the beach not only had outstanding temperaments, but their appearances were also superb. On the azure golden beach, it formed a beautiful scenery. The scenery is really nice. This is the first time I've been to the beach in my entire life. Bai Qianyu's eyes shone as he enjoyed the cool breeze blowing against his face. Let's play for a while before leaving, Zhao Qingkai suggested. I agree, Qiao Shaoan echoed. I agree with both hands. Qing Xue also shouted excitedly. From a certain point of view, this return could be considered a return to one's hometown in glory. Their mood was rather relaxed. Coupled with the series of events that had happened recently, it was a rare opportunity for everyone to relax. This was especially true for the few girls who quickly became a mess in the waves. Noni, come and play. Yao tied up her skirt, took off her shoes, and stepped on the soft sand. However, although everyone was having fun, Noni didn't seem to be in the mood. Is this silly cat unhappy? Mu Feng asked casually. It can't be that it's thinking of its previous owner, right? Han Ichuan said. Probably. Inyang beast Noni could be said to have grown up in Whale Island City. Its original master was the young city lord of Whale Island City, Qi Juexin. However, Qi Juexin was vicious by nature. At that time, they had made things difficult for Chu Hen and the others, and in the end, an intense battle had broken out in Whale Island City. In the end, Chu Hen killed Qi Juexin and his son in succession, and only then was he able to pass through Whale Island City and head to Midland. He revisited this place and recalled all the things that had happened in the past. Everyone felt a little emotional. At this time, Chu Hen discovered that Bai Qianyu was crouching on the other side of the beach. She held a branch in her hand and seemed to be writing something on the ground. Chu Hen was curious. Then he walked over. A few lines of graceful and beautiful words appeared under her fingers. What is a wish? Blue sky, green willows, golden beach. Could you be more specific? There is a boat by the blue water. How could it be more specific? To accompany you. Looking at these lines, Chu Hen was startled. Then, Bai Qianyu raised her head. Her beautiful face was illuminated by the gentle sunlight, and her skin was somewhat translucent and flawless. The cool sea breeze lifted her beautiful long hair, and her bright peach blossom eyes were smiling. This scene couldn't help but touch Chu Hen's heart. Chu Hen smiled, but an indescribably complicated look flashed across his eyes. Crash! The wind blew. A wave came crashing over, and the cool seawater spread over the beach. The seawater flowed into those words and filled those horizontal strokes. Then, another wave came crashing over, and those lines of words were washed away. They were washed away, Chu Hen said. The corners of Bai Qianyu's mouth rose, and her smile was bright and beautiful, like a summer flower. It's good that you can see it. Is there anything you want to ask me? Chu Hen looked into her eyes. Why should I ask? Bai Qianyu stood up, and her eyes were as clear as water. But what if some wishes can't be fulfilled? Chu Hen said. If it can be easily fulfilled, then it's not a wish. My father once told me to cherish the present, and don't ask about tomorrow. A wish that can't be fulfilled is still a wish. The two of them stood on the beach, looking at each other. Under the blue sky, the road on the golden beach was shaded by green willows. Not far away, a few fishing boats were docked. Under the beautiful background, the two of them looked like a poem or a painting. I've had enough fun, time to go. Mu Feng looked up at the gradually moving sun and said, So fast. I haven't had enough fun yet. That's enough. I'm eager to go back. I have to go back and show off in front of my coquettish old man. Yo, you've grown up now? When you came to Midland, you were still a human, but when you go back, you've become a monster. If I were your father, I'd be furious. Xiao Shaoan said. Piss off. How much better are you? I'm at least a half human, half monster. You've become a full monster. Even a full monster is better than a transvestite like you. Who the hell are you calling a transvestite? Don't stop me. I'll chop you to death today. Needless to say, Mu Feng and Xiao Shaoan had quarreled many times on the way. But the more they quarreled, the happier they were. But it was troublesome for Haozi and Han Ichuan. Every time they quarreled, They had to stop one person each. Otherwise, they might really fight. Your friend are so interesting. Bai Qinyu smiled. Chu Hen also smiled. Then he said, "Time ago, we still have a long way to go before we reach victorious Estate. How do we cross the sea? Do we take the flowing cloud golden boat like when we came?" Yi Yao asked. "No need," Chu Hen denied. "The flowing cloud golden boat is too slow. We could just fly over," Mu Feng explained. "What if we encounter a convective storm?" Although with their current cultivation, they had enough physical strength to cross the vast sea that was millions of miles away, it was easy to get lost if they were in the midst of a convective storm for a long time. Relatively speaking, the flowing cloud golden boat was slow, but there was no need to worry about any unexpected situations. What's there to be afraid of? Don't we have boss? Mu Feng glanced at Chu Hen. Chu Hen smiled. Then he said, "Everyone stand firm. We'll leave now." After he finished speaking, a faint purple halo of light was released from Chu Hen's body. Then it enveloped the surrounding people. "Domain?" Zhao Qingkai said in surprise. Different from last time, the people in Chu Hen's domain did not feel the slightest bit of pressure. "Let's go, whoosh." As soon as he finished speaking, a purple curtain of light shot up into the sky. It brought everyone with it into the sky and flew towards the vast and boundless ocean. "Holy shit, what happened to those people on the beach?" "It seems to be heading east," Wang Yao said. This sudden scene gave the people on the beach a fright. "Don't tell me they're trying to fly across the sea. What nonsense are you spouting? Who has that kind of ability? Anyway, don't you think those people look a little familiar? Do you think so too? I feel like I've seen them somewhere before." "Wait a minute, 4 years ago, when our Whale Island city held the pattern scribe competition, right?" Clang, rumble. The sky above the sea was ever-changing. One second, it might be clear and boundless, but in the next, it would be filled with gales and storms. At this moment, in the midst of the turbulent storm that could turn the heavens and the earth upside down, a huge boat that spanned several hundred meters was like an ancient giant beast shuttling through the terrifying storm. The dark sky and the black waves below seemed to merge into one. Even so, the interior of the flowing cloud golden boat was very stable. As the only means of transportation between the eastern region and Whale Island City, the flowing cloud golden boat was exceptionally expensive. Most of those who could afford to sit here were from wealthy and prestigious families. In front of the cabin of the flowing cloud golden boat. In front of the cabin of the flowing cloud golden boat. I heard that the war god palace of the Midland has been overthrown and the entire inner province is in chaos. I've heard about it too. The war god palace, an overlord of the Midland, has been overthrown and the entire inner prefecture is now in chaos. That's really scary. Even a colossus like the war god palace has collapsed. It's said that the person who overthrew the war god palace came from our eastern region. Oh, is that true? It seems to be true. It seems to be that Chu Hen. After all, it would take a lot of time for the flowing cloud golden boat to reach the eastern region. Those who had nothing better to do would gather here to talk about what had happened on the two sides of the sea. The flowing cloud golden boat, this time, is a little fierce. It's been going on for 7 or 8 days. Yeah, at this rate, we might not even reach the Mu province in the eastern region in a month. In the VIP cabin at the front, everyone could see the situation outside through a glass panel made of a special material. The storm was dark, and the lightning was interweaving. It was especially terrifying. "What's that?" A panicked cry suddenly rang out in the cabin. "What? Someone's out there? What kind of joke is this? Who can withstand a flowing cloud golden boat? There's really someone. What?" The startled crowd stood up and gathered by the window. Amidst the torrential storm, a purple light screen resembling a round bubble could be seen. More than 10 people could be seen within it. No matter how fierce the storm was or how devastating the lightning was, the light screen remained impregnable. However, the light barrier was impregnable and did not shake at all. This is... Swish! Before anyone could observe it, the light screen swept past the side of the flowing cloud golden boat and disappeared into the storm in a few blinks of an eye. Many dumbfounded faces were left in the flowing cloud golden boat. Chapter 15:20. Relying on Chu Hen's powerful domain power, he directly brought everyone through the storm, crossing the vast ocean that connected the eastern region and Whale Island City at a speed 10 times faster than the flowing cloud giant ship. Several days later, Chu Hen and the rest arrived at the eastern region's Mu province. Then, they went to the victorious East Province through the teleportation formation established between the various provinces. After a few trips, finally, after leaving the mid-continent for half a month, Chu Hen and the rest stepped into the victorious East Province. Do you feel it? After coming down from the teleportation formation, Mu Feng spread his arms, a look of enjoyment on his face. What is it? Xiao Xiaowan asked. The aura of home. Lunatic, this is the victorious East Province. Your home is still in the 100 Nations Province. It's about time. Victorious East Province isn't far from the 100 Nations Province. In the sky above Mount Kunliu, relatives of Mount Kunliu, come out and welcome our distinguished guests. Your brothers and sisters have returned home in glory. Mu Feng shouted at the top of his lungs, his voice spreading for dozens of miles. Everyone's eyes twitched. They cursed inwardly. Standing together with this fellow was simply embarrassing. Logically speaking, anyone who wasn't deaf would be able to hear Mu Feng shout. But what was puzzling was that there was no movement on the main peak of Mount Kunliu for a long time. What's going on? The few of them were puzzled. We're the people of Mount Kunliu. Could we have come to the wrong place? No way. Chu Hen shook his head. Although he hadn't been back for more than 4 years, he still remembered the environment of Mount Kunliu very clearly. This was indeed the sect base of Mount Kunliu. Could something have happened? Han Ichuan said uncertainly. Everyone's hearts skipped a beat when they heard this. Chu Hen also frowned slightly. Let's go down and take a look. After saying that, everyone flew down to the main peak below in a flash. Just as everyone landed on the ground, more than a dozen figures with piercingly cold auras swept over from the backyard of the square on the main peak. Who dares to trespass Mount Kunliu? Hey, trespassing? Are you kidding me? Do you know who we are? Mu Feng rolled up his sleeves and scolded. I don't care who you are. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and leave. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. Come. I want to see how impolite you are. Just as he finished speaking, a calm voice came from behind. Sun Guang, don't be rude. The young man in the lead immediately turned around. Senior brother Dai Ning, the crowd parted. A handsome man walked over from behind. I didn't know you were coming to my koan. Before the man finished speaking, his eyes suddenly lit up and he exclaimed in disbelief, Chu, senior brother Chu Hen. Your senior brother Chu Hen? What? Senior brother Chu Hen? The expressions of the man called Sun Guang and the others around him also changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with deep disbelief. Ha! Finally someone with eyes came, said Mu Feng as he rolled his eyes. You're really senior brother Chu Hen? Dai Ning was so shocked that he didn't know what to do. Chu Hen nodded slightly. I'm Chu Hen. And you are? The other party knew him. However, Chu Hen didn't have any impression of the person in front of him. Reporting to senior brother Chu Hen, my name is Dai Ning, and I'm in charge of guarding this place. Senior brother Chu Hen probably doesn't know me. When you left Victorious East State, I had just entered Mount Kunliu not long ago. As for you, I could only watch from afar. Dai Ning said humbly. At the same time, the others also looked at Chu Hen with incomparable respect. To the entire Mount Kunliu and even Victorious East State, Chu Hen was definitely a legend. Where are the others? Why are there only so few of you left? Chu Hen asked doubtfully. Senior brother Chu Hen probably doesn't know that the main base of Mount Kunliu has already been moved to Kuan City. Kuan City? That's right, it used to be Thunder City. Thunder City? Xiao Xiaowan, Han Ichuan, and the others looked at each other. Xiao Xiaowan blurted out. Wasn't that previously under the jurisdiction of the Thunder Saint Palace? Dai Ning's eyes lit up when he saw the two familiar figures standing behind Chu Hen. Are you senior sister Xiao Xiaowan of the Thousand Worlds sect and senior brother Han Ichuan of the Palace of Jihua? Yes, it's us. Han Chuan replied. Continue, Xiao Shaoan said. Dai Ning nodded and said, Indeed, it used to be under the jurisdiction of the Thunder Saint Palace. However, ever since senior brother Chu Hen destroyed the Thunder Saint Palace, most of the areas under its jurisdiction have been taken over by our Mount Kunliu. Some of them are managed by the Thousand World Sect and the Palace of Jiahua. About 2 years ago, the base of Mount Kunliu was moved to Kuan City. The 3 halls of our sect have also been set up in the bases around Kuan City. What about sect leader Gong Yang and the Flying Celestial Hall Master? They're all in Kuan City. Also, senior brother Shan Jun, senior sister Lung Ling Yan, and senior sister Qin, Qi Shu, and Hua are all in the main base of Kuan City. It was obvious that Dai Ning knew a little about Chu Hen. She also knew who he was close to in Mount Kunliu in the past. Hearing these names, Chu Hen couldn't help but recall familiar faces in his mind. Shan Jun was the eldest disciple of the Flying Celestial Hall. Lung Ling Yan was the eldest disciple of the Void Hall. As for Qin, Qi, Shu, and Shu, they were the ones who pestered him all the way and finally brought him back to Mount Kunliu to take over the position of sect leader. Among the 4 girls, Hua Shui was the most likable. Then is this place useless? Chu Hen asked. Dai Ning shook her head. Not really. This is a transit station that connects Kuan City and the 100 Kingdom State. People from the League of Generals have to pass through here to get to Kuan City. The League of Generals. Chu Hen's eyes lit up. The teleportation formation between the 100 Kingdom State and here is connected. Yes, it was connected 3 years ago. The League of Generals. It was the result of Chu Hen's overthrowing of the Sacred Star Dynasty and a merger of the School Alliance, the Ringmaster Guild, and a few other forces. It replaced the royal family of the Sacred Star Dynasty and managed the original land of the dynasty. The top management of the League of Generals were Principal Jiang of the Tensei Prefecture, President Xiao of the Ringmaster Guild, and Chu Hen's sister-in-law, Su Yurong. Later on, after Chu Hen destroyed the Thunder Saint Palace, he had the idea of merging the League of Generals and Mount Kunliu. The School Alliance would nurture talented disciples and send them to Mount Kunliu to cultivate. Not only would it strengthen the League of Generals, it would also provide fresh blood to Mount Kunliu. I haven't been back for more than 4 years. Mount Kunliu has changed a lot, Chu Hen said with a little surprise. Yes, if it wasn't for Senior Chu Hen, Mount Kunliu would still be here. Kuan City is now bustling with noise and comfort. You will be amazed when you see it, Dai Ning said with excitement. She paused and said, Senior Chu Hen wants to go to Kuan City, right? I will activate the teleportation formation for you. Okay, thank you. Senior Chu Hen, you're overpraising me. To be able to receive you here is our honor. Even though they called Chu Hen Senior, the respect they had for Chu Hen was not much less than the respect they had for Gong Yangyu. Even today, Chu Hen's deeds were still being spread all over the victorious East State. Back then, he single-handedly challenged the entire Thunder Saint Palace. That was definitely recorded in history. It seems like you often cause trouble in the eastern region, Bai Qinyu said in a small voice. Chu Hen smiled awkwardly. Yes, I often cause trouble. I couldn't tell. The corner of Bai Qinyu's mouth twitched as she said mischievously. Soon after, under Dai Ning's lead, the group arrived at a majestic Dao platform. On the east and west sides of the Dao platform were 2 tall platforms. The teleportation formation on the left leads to Kuan City. The one on the right leads to the 100 Kingdom State. What about the Thousand World Sect? There's no teleportation formation? Xiao Shaoan asked. There are teleportation formations directly to the Thousand World Sect and Jiahua Palace in Kuan City. Senior Qiao and Senior Han can transfer there, Dai Ning explained. After all, the main base of Mount Kunliu had been moved elsewhere. There was no need for this place to connect to the Thousand World Sect and Jiahua Palace. All right, with that, Xiao Shaoan took the lead and stepped onto the teleportation formation on the left. Han Chuan also followed. Mu Feng and Yi Yao went to the teleportation formation on the right towards the 100 Kingdom State. Aren't you going somewhere? Dai Ning asked curiously. What place? I'm returning home in glory, Do you understand? I want to return to the Heavenly Sword Pavilion. I want to return to Lin Xing City as well. Yi Yao said. Seeing the situation, Zhao Qingyi and Zhao Qingkai took Qingxue to an unknown teleportation formation. The three looked at Chu Hen. You guys go to Kuan City first. Chu Hen said to Zhao Qingyi and the others. I need to return to the General League. I'll meet you guys at Kuan City later. You three can follow me to the Thousand Worlds sect first. Xiao Xiaowan said with a smile. All right. Zhao Qingyi and her sister led Qingxue onto the teleportation array towards Kuan City. I'll go to Kuan City too, Mo Qingli said. Everyone couldn't help but be surprised by this. Logically, shouldn't Mo Qingli be with Chu Hen? You're going to Kuan City? Chu Hen was also a little surprised. Yes. Mo Qingli looked meaningfully at Chu Hen and by Qinyu. Kuan City should be more lively than the 100 Kingdom state. I'll look after Qingxue for you guys. Chu Hen smiled, nodded his head, and did not say anything else. Immediately, Chu Hen, by Qinyu, Long Xuan, Yi Yao, and Mu Feng stepped onto the teleportation formation. The others went to Kuan City first. Although these few chapters didn't have any ups and downs, they weren't easy to write. Even I don't remember the characters in the previous chapters clearly. I had to flip through the previous chapters as I wrote. I was afraid that I would miss out on any important characters or fill in any holes. Thanks to Brotherly Wushang's reward, I should have added more chapters today. However, I still need to sort out the later chapters. I'll add more chapters in 2 days. Chapter 1521. Within the 100 Kingdoms province, the imperial city of the Sacred Star Dynasty had been renamed General City, and it was also the base of the General League. Along with a slight tremble of space, a stable and flat platform glowed with colorful and brilliant talismans. Light flashed. A faint wave of air spread out along the platform. Then, the flowing light disappeared, and a few young figures with extraordinary appearances appeared on the platform. You're back. Where is this? Have we arrived at the 100 Kingdoms province? Chu Hen, by Qinyu, Long Xuan, Mu Feng, Haozi, Yi Yao, and the Yin Yang Beast Noni looked around curiously. They were in a rather spacious and grand plaza. There were several other teleportation platforms around them. There was a tall city wall around the plaza, and it looked like the backyard of a main city. At this moment, a series of hurried footsteps approached them. He saw a few armored guards hurrying towards them. Sir, did you come from Mount Kunliu? I wonder if I can be of service. This teleportation formation was connected to Mount Kunliu, coupled with the extraordinary aura of Chu Hen and the others. The people who came to greet them were rather respectful. You don't know me? Chu Hen asked. The guards looked at each other, their eyes filled with doubt. I'm sorry, sir. I've only entered the General League for less than 2 years. I don't even have the qualifications to come into contact with many sirs from the victorious East Province, the leader of the guards said respectfully. I see. Chu Hen nodded slightly, then asked, Where are Principal Jiang and faction leader Su? The guard was stunned. His gaze towards Chu Hen was even more bewildered. Sir, are you talking about our former Dean Jiang and Sectmaster Su Yurong? Why? They're not here? Principal Jiang and faction leader Su went to the victorious East Province's Kuan City 3 years ago. Sir, don't you know? This time, it was Chu Hen's turn to be stunned. He then asked, What about President Xiao of the Engraver Guild? President Xiao is also in Kuan City. Then who is in charge of the General Alliance now? Song Chunglai, Dean Song, City Hunter Mentor? Chu Hen's eyes lit up. Chu Hen was no stranger to the Song City Hunt. When he first entered the imperial capital and was rejected by the 27 high-ranked martial houses, it was Song Chung who led him into the Tensei Prefecture. At that time, Song Chunglai was brave and valiant. He was given the title of Demon Lion. Where is he now? Chu Hen asked. Dean Song should be presiding over a meeting at the Engraver Guild right now. If Sir has urgent matters to discuss with him, we'll go invite him right away. No need. Let him busy himself first. I'll come back later. Chu Hen smiled. Hey, is there a teleportation array that connects to the Heavenly Sword Pavilion? Mu Feng asked. Yes, the Heavenly Sword Pavilion and our General Alliance are allies. There is a teleportation array that connects directly. Perfect. Quick, let me use it. Mufeng was really eager to return home. He could not wait to teleport back to the Heavenly Sword Pavilion. Do the few of you want to return home with this marshal? Mufeng asked with a smile. It's fine as long as you're beautiful by yourself. Yao replied. What about Haozi? It'll be awkward for you to follow them alone. Haozi rolled his eyes. I have family and friends in the 100 Kingdoms Prefecture. All right then, I'll go to Kuan City to find you guys later. With that, Mufeng jumped onto the teleportation array to the Heavenly Sword Pavilion under the guidance of one of the guards. Where do the other 2 teleportation arrays lead to? Chu Hen asked casually. My lord, one of them leads to the Thousand Cranes sect, and the other leads to Sky City. The guard replied respectfully. He paused for a moment, then continued. The Thousand Cranes sect is still led by Sect Master Qizhong, but he spends most of his time in Kuan City in the Eastern Victory State. Grand Cloud City doesn't have much contact with our General Alliance, but Sect Master Su repeatedly warned us before we left Kuan City that the teleportation array between the General Alliance and Grand Cloud City is the most important and must be properly maintained. A trace of warmth surfaced in Chu Hen's eyes when he heard this. She muttered to herself, Sister-in-law is so considerate. The Thousand Cranes sect was instructor Shi Lan's sect. Sect Master Qizhong was also an old acquaintance of Chu Hen's. There was no need to even mention Grand Cloud City. City Lord Luo Qiong was Luo Mengchang's adoptive father. He cherished and doted on Luo Mengchang like his own daughter. In the past, the Luo clan had been jointly chased out of Grand Cloud City by the other clans in the city. In the end, it was Chu Hen who personally took back Grand Cloud City and gave it back to the Luo clan. Are you going to Grand Cloud City? Long Xuan asked softly. Bai Qianyu revealed a curious expression as well. However, Chu Hen merely shook his head. Not for now. After that, Mufeng headed to the Sky Sword Pavilion alone. As for Haozi, he went to his birthplace, General City. The wide streets were bustling with people and endless streams of carriages. It was a bustling place. The capital has changed a lot, Long Xuan said emotionally. Chu Hen nodded. Yes, I almost couldn't recognize it. The current General City had been greatly expanded on the original foundation of the Sacred Star dynasty's capital. The tall buildings in the city were magnificent and lined up row upon row. Every building was much more magnificent than it had been in the past. At a glance, the capital had lost all its former glory. Is this where you grew up? Bai Qinyu asked. Chu Hen shook his head. No, big brother Chu Hen, big sister Xuan, and I all grew up in the Burning Rain City. Yao explained. Burning Rain City? It's a nice name. Do you want to take a look? Chu Hen asked. Sure, Bai Qinyu said with a smile. General City, Inscribers Guild, in an extremely luxurious and splendid palace hall. Spacious, bright, and luxurious palace pillars supported this magnificent building that was over 1,000 feet tall. Dean Song, the envoy from the Sword Dynasty, is waiting in the first guest hall, and the third prince of the Misty Wind Dynasty. He hopes to get a place to go to Kuan City in the victorious East State from you. The long square table was made of extremely precious black crystal agate. On both sides of the long table, a group of senior members of the General League sat around it, and directly above them was a middle-aged man who exuded a heroic aura. His gaze was as deep as a lion's, and his aura was especially powerful. Tell the envoy from the Sword Dynasty that I have to go to the academy to teach martial arts in the afternoon. Tell him to go to the academy to find me tomorrow. Also, tell the third prince of the Misty Wind Dynasty that if he wants to go to Kuan City, he needs to pass the assessment of the Academy's alliance in 3 months. Yes, I understand. If there's nothing else, today's meeting will end here. I have to rush back to the Academy to teach martial arts. After saying that, Song Chunlai stood up and left. Yes, Dean Song. Dean Song is really generous. With his ability, he should be able to go to Kuan City, but he still insists on staying here to teach martial arts. You don't know, the Academy's alliance is Dean Zhang's life's work. Dean Song doesn't feel at ease leaving this position to others, so he personally manages it. Yes. Dean Song said that he likes to see the little brats in the Marshall house grow up one by one. It gives him a sense of accomplishment. Now, the General League had become a giant in the Hundred Kingdoms state, especially the Academy's alliance. It was the gathering place of all the young geniuses in the state. Some of the famous families in the various dynasties and empires, as well as the members of the imperial family, would fight tooth and nail to send their descendants there. Dean Song, someone is coming from the Eastern Victory State today. As soon as Song Chung-Lai walked out of the Inscriptionist Guild's entrance, he met a young guard who was waiting outside. Oh, what's the matter? Song Chung-Lai had a puzzled look on his face. The other party didn't say why he's here. What's puzzling is that he's obviously from the Eastern Victory State, but he doesn't seem to know anything about our General League in recent years. There's such a thing? What does that person look like? He's quite handsome, and his smile is very clean. Most importantly, he's obviously very young, but I can't see through him at all. The moment he arrived, he asked about Dean Jiang and sect leader Su. In an instant, Song Chunlia's expression changed abruptly. He looked at the other party in shock and asked excitedly, "Where is he?" The guard's heart was also shocked. He had never seen Song Chung-Lai lose his composure like this. "No, I don't know. He only said that he'll come and find you later." "When did this happen? Why are you only telling me now?" Seeing Song Chunlia's agitated emotions, the guard's expression was especially uneasy. He did not understand. Wasn't that person from Mount Kunliu? Why was he so uneasy? "I don't know who he is, so I didn't report it immediately." At the same time, the other senior members of the General League walked out of the conference hall one after another. Seeing Song Chunlia's solemn expression, they went up to him and asked what had happened. "Dean Song, what's going on?" "He's back." Song Chung-Lai clenched his fists, but his expression turned from shock to joy. "Him?" Everyone looked at each other. "Which him?" "That little rascal from the Tensei Prefecture." Song Chung-Lai smiled as he shook his head. The guard at the side did not know which way was north. He had been solemn earlier, but now he was smiling again. It was really hard to make heads or tails of. "Send someone to inform Koan City immediately. Tell them that Chu Hen has returned." Chu Hen? Clang. The moment they heard this name, it was as if thunder had struck their ears. All of their faces were filled with shock. Chapter 1522. Flaming Rain City. Even though the Sacred Star Dynasty had undergone earth-shattering changes in the past few days, Baidu greater than over equal to, search greater than over equal to, products greater than over equal to, books greater than over equal to, net greater than over equal to, net greater than over equal to, but the Flaming Rain City did not change much. It was still the same familiar street. It was still the same familiar alley. Even the old tree at the city gate was the same as before. "This is the Flaming Rain City, the place where we grew up together." Yi Yao's eyes sparkled, looking particularly excited. Bai Qinyu also observed the surrounding environment with great interest. "Don't you feel that it's very remote?" Chu Hen asked. "No, I feel that living in this small city is very comfortable. Your childhood should be very happy, right?" And Chu Hen smiled slightly, his eyes showing some emotions. "Grandpa, Uncle Jean, big brother, and second sister are all very good to me." "I'm not good to you," Long Shuang said a little coldly. "I was always annoyed by you when I was young." "Yes, you were annoyed by me, but I liked to follow you. But every time I fell or got lost, you would always be the first to find the adults in the residence." "You?" Long Shuang was stunned and looked at him in surprise. "How did you know?" Chu Hen smiled and did not say much. In fact, when he was young, he always thought that Long Shuang hated him. But ever since he saw the scene of him being brought back to the Long residence by General Long Bo and Marshal Sek's time wheel, he realized that it was not that Long Shuang did not dislike him, but that she always hid her true feelings in her heart. "My house is in front, big brother Chu Hen, big sister Qinyu, big sister Shuang. Do you want to come in and sit?" Yi Yao said. "Okay." Bai Qinyu readily agreed. But Long Shuang looked at Chu Hen with a somewhat complicated expression. The latter said lightly, "I'm not going." Bai Qinyu was startled. What? Wasn't his relationship with Yi Yao very good? Since they grew up together, they should be very familiar with Yi Yao's family. Soon, Yi Yao reacted. She bit her lips and said timidly, "My sister did something to hurt big brother Chu Hen in the past." Bai Qinyu's beautiful eyes flickered, and she couldn't help but regret agreeing too quickly. Looking at the guilty look on Yi Yao's face, Chu Hen rubbed her head. "It's not because of that. I just want to go to the old house to have a look. Then are you really not angry at me anymore?" Chu Hen shook his head with a smile. "I've already gotten over it. I haven't been home for so many years. You should go back and have a look." "All right, I'll look for you guys later." With that, Yi Yao waved at the three of them. Then, she summoned the Yin beast, Noni, and skipped towards the Yi family's mansion. Looking at the somewhat deep expression on Chu Hen's face, Bai Qinyu understood that not everything here was a good memory. In fact, Chu Hen's heart had already gotten over it. The things in the past, in his opinion, were nothing more than a joke. However, some people, it's not that he didn't want to see them, but there was no need to. "I'm back, Dad, Mom, sister. The cutest little girl in your family is back." As soon as she entered the Yi mansion's gate, Yi Yao shouted at the top of her lungs. Hearing the commotion, the Yi mansion's servants quickly gathered around. "Is the second Miss back? It's really the second Mississippi. I'm not dreaming, am I? Oh my God, my poor second Miss. How long has it been since you last came? Seventh aunt has been dreaming of your return." Yi Yao had been well-behaved since she was a child. Unlike her sister, Yu, who was proud and arrogant, Yi Yao almost had no ulterior motives. Her kindness also made the Yi mansion particularly fond of her. At the same time, in the front yard's hall, a woman who looked to be in her 40s ran out first. "Yao, you're back?" "Ha ha, it's me." "Mother, did you miss me?" "Yes, of course, I missed you." That woman was the wife of the Yi family, Madame Yi Li. She went forward and held Yi Yao in her arms, her eyes red. "Yeah, where have you been all these years? I thought about you every day and night, hoping that you would come back. I was afraid that you would meet with an accident outside. You're finally back today." "I'm back now." At the same time, two figures walked out of the hall one after another. One was the family head, Yi Qing. The other was tall and had an outstanding temperament. It was Yi Yu. "Little Yao, you're back." Yi Qing and Yi Yu also hurried to welcome them. "Father, sister." Yi Yao, who was held by Madame Yi Li, waved her little hand to greet them. "It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back." Yi Qing's face also showed a bit of joy. However, Yi Qing was not as happy as imagined. Yi Yu also looked gloomy, as if she had a lot on her mind. "What happened at home? Why do you all look like this?" Seeing that everyone looked a little strange, Yi Yao could not help but break away from Madame Yi Li's arms and asked in confusion. "Nothing, nothing." Yi Qing waved his hand and then told the seventh aunt beside him, "Seventh aunt, go to prepare little Yao's favorite dishes and snacks, and close the door early today." "Yes, master." "Come, little Yao, come to the room quickly." "Father, why close the door early? It's still early." "Nothing, it's such a happy day. I don't want others to disturb our family." After saying that, Yi Qing took Yi Yao's hand and walked into the room with Yi Yu and Madame Yi Li. Bang! However, as soon as they stepped into the room, the closed door of the mansion was directly kicked open. "I say, Yi family head, it's just a little past noon. Why are you so anxious to close the door?" A haughty voice was heard. Yi Qing, Yi Yu, and the others all changed their faces. "Come, carry these things in for me," the man continued to say. Then, more than a dozen people carrying several big boxes swaggered into the courtyard of the Yi mansion. Yi Qing frowned and asked, "Dao Kong, what are you doing here?" "I have already said that I will not marry my daughter to you." "Ha ha, Yi family head, no, father-in-law, marriage is an important matter. How can you go back on your words? In order to let Yi Yu break through to the profound world realm, I have sent so many elixirs to your family. You have agreed to it, and now you're going back on your words. Isn't this a slap to my face?" The speaker was a young man in his 20s. This person was not bad-looking, and his clothes were quite noble, but his shameless and arrogant manner was really disgusting. Although he called Yi Qing father-in-law, his words and actions did not have the slightest bit of respect. "Who is this person?" Yi Yao frowned and asked. "Alas!" Madame Yi Li sighed and answered rather helplessly, "Dao Kong, the eldest son of the Dao family. His family is quite influential in the city of General. Half a year ago, he met your sister. At first, he was very dependent on her, but he did not know that he was just playing around, and who knows how many women he had secretly been with. Yu also rushed forward, and with a firm attitude, she scolded, "Dao Kong, I will not marry you. Just give up." "Ha ha. I say Dao Kong, am not even 30 years old, and I have already reached the profound sky realm. In the entire 100-nation state, I can be said to be a rare existence. I see you, it is your fortune. What else is there to be dissatisfied with?" Yi was so angry that her face turned pale, and she clenched her teeth. "Today, these things are the betrothal gifts for your Yi family. Within 3 days, I will come and marry you in a grand manner. Don't even think of escaping. You can't escape." Dao Kang's words directly made Yi Qing and his daughter tremble in anger. And at this moment, a somewhat playful voice was heard. "You want to marry my sister?" Yi Yu and Yi Qing were both startled. Dao Kang's gaze slanted, and when he saw Yi Yao walking over, his eyes instantly lit up. "You are. My name is Yi Yao, the second young mistress of the Yi family." Looking at Yi Yu, whose temperament and appearance far surpassed Yi Yao, Dao Kang's eyes widened, and he could not help but reveal a wretched smile. "Hee, I didn't expect the Yi family to have such a little beauty like you. The heavens are really too kind to me. Why don't you two marry into my family?" "Bastard," Yi Qing scolded. Very quickly, Yi Yao stopped him, and then said with a smile, "Sure." "Really?" Dao Kong swallowed his saliva. "Of course, but it was just one person earlier, and now there are 2 people. Don't you want to add more betrothal gifts?" "Of course, I am very happy today. So, I will give you a ranked, sacred weapon as the betrothal gift." After saying that, Dao Kong raised his hand and took out a small red ball that was flickering with a flowing light. The small ball was shining with a red light, and waves of obscure energy rippled in all directions like water ripples. "Blazing Pearl, a ranked sacred weapon. Is this sincere enough?" Dao Kong said proudly. At the same time, he secretly thought to himself, "I will first deceive Yi Yao, and then I will take back the Blazing Pearl. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone? How perfect! Little Yao, what are you doing?" Yi Yu was a little anxious. However, Yi Yao slightly pushed Yi Yu away, and she raised her hand to take the Blazing Pearl from Dao Kang's hand. "Is this a sacred weapon? Don't tell me you are lying to us. How is that possible? This is rare in this world. Crack." Before Dao Kong could even finish his words, the Blazing Pearl in Yi Yao's hand had already started to crack. "It's fake. It will shatter with one touch." Yi Yao opened her bright eyes wide and said innocently. Then she gently clenched her fist, and under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the Blazing Pearl immediately turned into a red powder. This book is from Chapter 1523, Qianqian, the latest chapter of Divine King Wuji. Bang! Seeing the Blazing Pearl explode into dust in Yi Yao's hands, the Yi family and Dao Kang's faces changed. Yu, Dao Kang's eyes widened in shock. Yi Yao dusted her hands and shook off the powder on her palms. "What a weak sacred weapon. It shattered with one pinch." "You, who are you?" Dao Kang's eyes widened, and there was still fear on his face. Destroying a sacred weapon so easily, even someone at the peak of the 9th level of the profound sky realm could not do it. Could it be that this young girl before him was a peak expert of the ancient eternal realm? "You just said that you're a super genius of the profound sky realm. Am I right?" Yi Yao pretended to pause and teased. The moment she said that, an invisible aura emanated from Yi Yao's body. Bang! Dao Kang's knees bent, and he knelt on the ground. "Aya, why are you kneeling? In order to marry us 2 sisters, you are so sincere? I'm embarrassed." Yi Yao covered her mouth and laughed. Yi Qing, Yi Yu, and the rest were shocked. Dao Kang's face changed. He felt like he was shouldering a heavy burden. Not to mention standing up, he could not even move. The most terrifying thing was that the true yuan in his body seemed to have stopped and could not be used at all. "Quick, help me up!" Dao Kong shouted to his underlings behind him. "Oh, yes." Everyone hurriedly went forward and supported Dao Kang's shoulders as they lifted him up. However, Dao Kang's knees seemed to have grown from the ground. The 7 or 8 strong men were unable to move him at all. Yi Qing, Yi Yu, and the rest of the Yi residents were shocked and confused. They looked at the innocent and obedient Yi Yao in shock. Looks like the profound sky realm is nothing much. I thought you were powerful. With that, Yi Yao waved her hand. Bang, bang, bang. The people in front of him were all thrown out, and they all fell in a mess, pissing their pants in terror. Yu, Dao Kang's face turned red, and he said viciously, I won't let you off. Let me tell you, my third uncle is a high-ranking member of the General Union. Upon hearing the 2 words General Alliance, the expressions of the Yi family members all changed. On the other hand, Yi Yao was even happier. What a coincidence. I know someone in the Alliance of Generals. Maybe you're not familiar with his name. He's called Chu Hen. Do you know him? Wow, what? Chu Hen. Clang. In an instant, Dao Kong and the others turned pale. All of them were so terrified that they didn't know what to do. You know Chu Hen? Yeah. Moreover, my big brother Chu Hen is in Burning Rain City. I'll go and call him over now. No. I know I'm wrong. I won't harass you anymore. Dao Kong was scared out of his wits. He scrambled to his feet and pointed at the people around him. Go, let's go. Hey, didn't you say my sister owes you some kind of medicinal pill? I'll return it to you another day. No. We don't owe you anything. We don't owe you anything at all. We'll take our leave now. With that said, Dao Kong and the rest ran out in a panic, covering their heads and scurrying out of the door like frightened rats. Looking at Dao Kong and the others who were scared out of their wits, everyone in the Yi family felt a sense of relief. In the past few months, they had been scared out of their wits. Today, it was finally their turn to turn around. On the other hand, Yi Qing and the others were in disbelief. Lil Yao, how could you? This kind of toad wants to marry my Yi Yao's sister. What's so great about a profound heavens realm martial artist? Noni can kill a bunch of them with just one claw. Meow. The yin-yang beast next to him responded. A profound heavens realm martial artist could kill a bunch of them with just one claw. Yi Qing looked at Noni, who was lying on the side of the road, then looked at Yi Yao. Little Yao, your cultivation base? Don't tell me you've already reached the ancient eternal stage? Yi Qing's voice was trembling as he asked tentatively. Ancient eternal stage? It seems to be a little higher than the ancient eternal stage. Higher than the ancient eternal stage? Yi Qing and Yi Yu looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. Could it be? I'm already at the Saint King stage. Rumble. It was as if they were struck by lightning. Yi Qing and his daughter's faces instantly turned pale. Really? Yi Yu's voice was trembling and her body was shaking uneasily. Yes. Yi Yao nodded. Shock. It was an unprecedented shock. One should know that to them, and even the entire 100-nation state, the so-called Saint King stage existed only in legends. Since ancient times, there had never been a Saint King stage powerhouse in the 100-nation state. Now, the Yi family had a Saint King stage powerhouse. Yi Qing could not help but be in a trance, as if he was in a dream. Is it because of him? Yi Yu asked tentatively as she clenched her teeth. The him she was referring to was naturally Chu Hen. Yes, it's all thanks to big brother Chu Hen that I could break through to the Saint King stage. What about him? Yi Yu's fingers gently clenched together. Yi Yao paused for a moment. She hesitated for a moment, but still replied softly. Big brother Chu Hen is an entire rank higher than me. Clang. The continuous shock made one's scalp go numb. You could not stand steadily anymore. She even regretted asking these questions. Even Yi Qing could not help but clench his fists. His eyes were filled with shock and complicated emotions. He clearly remembered that more than 10 years ago, on that windy and snowy night, Chu Hen, who was framed, dragged 2 long bloodstains on the snowy ground because of the broken tendons in his arms and legs. It was also because of that time that the relationship between Yi Yu and Chu Hen was completely broken. If it had not been for that time, it might have been a different situation. She looked at Yi Yao in front of her, her eyes filled with indescribable complexity. Her own sister. She had already stepped into the legendary Saint King stage, and she herself was still struggling at the level of the profound world realm. This was fate, this gap, but it was somewhat ridiculous. It was really a joke of fate. Is he really in Flame City? Yi Qing asked in a deep voice. Feeling the uneasiness of her father and sister, Yi Yao also sighed softly. I invited Big Brother Chu Hen to come to our house, but he did not come. But he said that the past should be left in the past. Sigh. Yi Qing heaved a deep sigh. One wrong step. One wrong step. Who would have thought that the boy who had watched him grow up, but did not like him, would grow to such a point today? Long Zhan, you raised a good son. On the streets of Flame City, Chu Hen and Long Xuan seemed to be in deep thought. This was the place they were most familiar with. It was also the place where their family used to gather. I thought you had forgotten. Long Xuan said to break the silence. Chu Hen shook his head slightly. How could I forget? I've always remembered. I originally wanted to come back alone. What are you talking about? Bai Qinyu asked in confusion. Chu Hen looked at her and whispered, Today is the 10th anniversary of my adoptive father's death. Bai Qinyu's beautiful eyes rippled. No wonder you didn't go to Koan City, but came back here first. Chu Hen nodded. His thoughts seemed to go back to that year's incident in the capital. In order to protect himself, Long Zhan committed suicide outside the capital. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Everything in Flame City was the same as before, but the people had changed. Time flies, Long Xuan murmured. Yes, in the blink of an eye, 10 years have passed. With a heavy heart, they unknowingly walked to the familiar gate of the mansion. The past seemed to surge in their hearts again. That imposing, tall, stern, and warm figure involuntarily surfaced in their hearts. At this moment, Long Xuan and Chu Hen were stunned. What was puzzling was that the gate of the Long family's mansion was half open. After Long Zhan's death, the general's mansion was sealed by the royal family of the Sacred Star dynasty. Although the alliance was established, the people of the Long family had already moved to the capital city. No one lived in this old house. Could it be? Long Xuan and Chu Hen looked at each other and saw the excitement in each other's eyes. Long Qingyang is back. Chapter 1524. Long Qingyang was back, looking at the half-open door of the Long Manor and the special day today. Chu Hen and Long Xuan's first reaction was that Long Qingyang had returned. The two immediately entered the courtyard. As far as the eye could see, the entire courtyard of the Long Manor was clean and tidy, without a speck of dust. It must be Big Brother, Chu Hen said excitedly. Long Xuan nodded affirmatively. At the same time, a slight noise came from the front hall. The two of them looked at each other, and without saying a word, they directly ran towards the front courtyard hall. Big Brother, are you back? Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, a porcelain cup fell to the ground and shattered into countless pieces. Chu Hen, Xuan, why are you back? A shocked female voice came into their ears. Chu Hen and Long Xuan were stunned as well. A young lady with a graceful figure and fair skin was sweeping the dust on the table. Beside her hand, there were a few glasses that had been knocked over in her panic just now. Sister-in-law, why are you here? The person in the room was none other than Su Yurong. Faced with the sudden appearance of Chu Hen and his brother, Su Yurong could not react for a moment. She composed herself and replied, I come here every year at this time. Chu Hen was even more surprised. So you know what day it is? Big Brother Qingyang told me before that today is the anniversary of your father's death. Because there is no tomb, I could only come to your ancestral home to clean up the weeds in the courtyard, Su Yurong said as she walked towards the two. When did you come back? Why didn't you inform me in advance? If I had known, I would have waited for you at Victorious East State. Chu Hen smiled and shook his head. We didn't go to Koan City. We came directly from Mount Kunliu. Sister-in-law, when did you come? Why didn't I hear from the guards of the General League that you were here? I've been here for a few days now. Due to some private matters, I didn't want to disturb Principal Song and the others, so I ordered the guards guarding the teleportation portal not to spread the news of my arrival. Su Yurong said, I see. Chu Hen gently nodded. Although the person in front of him wasn't Long Qingyang, Chu Hin still felt a warmth in his heart. Su Yurong had yet to marry into the Long family, so she and Long Qingyang could not be considered husband and wife. However, Su Yurong would come here every year to pay her respects to Long Zhan, which was really touching. Big brother hasn't come back yet? Chu Hin asked. Su Yurong bit her lips, and a trace of dryness flashed in her eyes. Not yet. Come to think of it, he has been gone for more than 6 years. Seeing this, Chu Hin stepped forward and held Su Yurong's shoulder. Don't worry. Eldest sister-in-law, my eldest brother will definitely come back. When he comes back, I will help you kick him a couple of times to help you vent your anger. Leaving such a gentle and virtuous woman at home alone for so long, I will definitely help you teach him a lesson. Su Yurong couldn't help but laugh. All right, as long as he comes back soon, it'll be enough for me to know that he's safe and sound. Safe and sound. These 4 words struck Chu Hin and Long Xuanchuang's hearts like a heavy hammer. More than 6 years. There was no news at all. To be honest, it wasn't worrying. Whether he was alive or dead, I still didn't know. This young lady is? Su Yurong finally noticed by Qian Yu standing at the door. Chu Hin hesitated for a moment before replying. A friend I met in Midland. You can say that she's my creditor. Creditor? Su Yurong was stunned. She saw a trace of strangeness in Chu Hin's expression. Hello, I'm Bai Qinyu. Bai Qinyu stepped forward and briefly introduced herself. What a nice name. It matches your appearance very well. Su Yurong politely nodded her head, then looked at Chu Hin with deep meaning in her eyes, and smiled as if she understood something. After staying in the Long mansion for about an hour, Chu Hin and the other 3 returned outside. In these few days, Su Yurong had already cleaned up the inside. Under the gaze of Chu Hin and Long Xuanchuang, Su Yurong carefully locked the door, then turned around and smiled at them. Let's go. In the past, I always came and left alone. This time, I have you guys. Chu Hin also smiled knowingly. At the same time, on the other side of the alley, Yi Yu pulled Yi Yao, who was beside her. What's wrong? Yi Yao asked confusedly. Don't you have something to say to big brother Chu Hin? No need. Yi Yu shook her head. In fact, she wanted to apologize to Chu Hin. But after seeing him with her own eyes, she felt that she didn't even have the right to chase after Chu Hin's back. Especially when she saw by Qian Yu, who was beside Chu Hin. That feeling of self-shame was magnified infinitely. It turned out that there was a reason why Chu Hin didn't want to see the rest of the Yi family. Yi Yu also completely believed that Chu Hin had already let go of the past, because she didn't even have the right to make Chu Hin care about her anymore. Chu Hin and the other 3 had just come out of the Long mansion. Before they could take a few steps, a burly middle-aged figure blocked their way. I finally found you. Even Sect Master Su is here. Seeing the person in front of him, Chu Hin smiled brightly. Long time no see. Hunter Chung, little rascal, I missed you so much after so many years. Song Qinglai walked up and gave Chu Hin a big bear hug. Chu Hin also patted him on the back. Thank you, Hunter Chung, for remembering me. Haha, what are you talking about? You were personally brought into the Heavenly Star Martial House by me, Song Qinglai. If it wasn't for Shilon who snatched you away that year, you would definitely be in my hands. At the mention of Shilon, Chu Hin and Long Xuanchuang's eyes flashed with a hint of loneliness. However, Chu Hin didn't show it. Let's go. Hunter Chung. Yes, I've already informed Kuan City. They should be sending someone over soon. No need. We'll return to Dongsheng State now. So soon? Yes. Everything here has been settled. That's good too. Everyone you're familiar with is now in Kuan City. Other than me, everyone else has gone to Dongsheng State. Kuan City? In a majestic hall that was much more luxurious than the Emperor's palace. Welcome back. The leader of Mount Kunliu, Gong Yangyu, looked at the young man he hadn't seen for more than 4 years with joy in his eyes. Behind him stood the 3 hall masters of Mount Kunliu. They were the leader of Fairy Hall, Qi Han Yu, the leader of Demon Slaying Hall, Wen Liang, and the leader of Void Hall, Xia Wuhe. After 4 years, it felt like dozens of years had passed. Looking at Chu Hin, whose temperament was completely different from before, everyone sighed. Leader Gong Yangyu, How have you been? Chu Hen's gaze was calm. He had the happiness of meeting an old friend of many years, as well as a kind of calm and reserved calmness. I heard that Chu Hen is back. I'm going to see him. After so many years, he's finally willing to come back. Outside the main hall, a series of chattering noises could be heard from afar. Junior brother Chu Hen, you're really back? A young man with a strong aura rushed in, his eyes shining. Senior brother Shan Jun, welcome back, a gentle and beautiful girl said. Long time no see, senior sister Ling Yan. Wow, Chu Hen, it's really you. I missed you so much. A cute figure immediately threw herself into Chu Hen's embrace, hugging him as she cried out in surprise. Chu Hen was speechless. Huashue, there are so many people around. I don't care. I'm bored to death when you're not around. These people are not as fun as you. At the same time, Fu Qin, Ji Shu, and Nonchi walked in. After that, Principal Jiang, President Xiao, and other acquaintances gathered here. His luck with women is really good. At the side of the hall, Bai Qinyu looked at Chu Hen, who was hugged by Huashue. There was a little bitterness in her eyes. Long Xuanchuang smiled. But the way he looks at you is different from the others. Bai Qinyu raised her eyebrows, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. The news of Chu Hen's return caused a huge sensation in Kuan City. Many of his good friends rushed here after hearing the news. Looking at the familiar faces in front of him, Chu Hen felt gratified in his heart. This time I brought some gifts for everyone. What's that? Is there anything for me? Huashue opened her eyes wide and giggled. Of course, with that, Chu Hen waved his hand. Whoosh! A dazzling light flashed, causing everyone's pupils to shrink. In the next moment, a few boxes appeared in the hall. The expressions of the three hall masters changed. Even Gong Yanyu could not help but squint his eyes. This is divine weapons? Everyone couldn't help but clench their fists as they sensed the powerful energy fluctuations coming from those weapons. Divine weapons, elixirs, ancient scrolls. Each and every one of these dazzling items didn't look like ordinary items. Unprecedented shock filled everyone's face. These are all. Dan Jun was in disbelief. Yes, Chu Hen nodded. They're all for you. Chapter 1525. Kuan City is indeed built like a paradise on earth. It's even more magnificent than I imagined. In the evening, Chu Hen and Gong Yanyu stood on the main city wall of Kuan City. Looking at the magnificent city in front of them, Chu Hen's eyes were filled with amazement. The main peak of the Mount Kunliu sect was located on the north side of Kuan City. South of the mountain gate was Kuan City. Moreover, between the mountain gate and Kuan City, there are also magnificent stargazing towers and towering city towers. The vast mountain gate was connected to the vast city. It was a coexistence of peace and prosperity. Even though the city of Kuan was bustling with activity and bustling with people, it did not affect the cultivation of the disciples of Mount Kunliu. On the contrary, after cultivating, the disciples of the sect would form groups of 2 or 3 to relax in Kuan City. The scale of the construction of Kuan City is very large. Back then, we spent a lot of manpower and resources. We even borrowed a lot of resources from Sect Master Qiao Yong and Home Master Xing Yi. Looking at the magnificent city tower that stretched as far as the eye could see, Gong Yanyu had a look of accomplishment on his face. Kuan City covered a vast area. Large and small inner cities and outer cities were lined up row upon row. This kind of appearance was something that not even 10 Thunder Saint palaces could compare to. If I'm not wrong, this should be the construction plan of Home Master Qi Hanyu, right? Chu Hen said. Gong Yanyu was startled. You can even guess this? Ha! Chu Hen laughed heartily. Hall Master Qi purposely built the sect beside Kuan City. Isn't it to set up a bustling place for you to have fun? Huh? Gong Yanyu was speechless. After all, he had a dark history. Back then, Gong Yanyu had only taken over as the sect master of Mount Kunliu for a few months before he sneaked out and had fun alone. Thus, the 4 ladies Qin, Qi, Shu, Hua, and Qin had been bitterly searching for Gong Yanyu. In the end, due to a freak combination of factors, Gong Yanyu didn't find him and instead dragged Chu Hen to Mount Kunliu sect. Of course, after talking with Gong Yanyu, he found out that it was actually Gong Yanyu who made a bet with Li Wushang. In the end, he lost the bet, which was why he gave the position of Mount Kunliu to Chu Hen. The reason Li Wushang did that was most likely to make Chu Hen leave the tiny 100-nation state. Perhaps it was also because she was afraid that Gong Yanyu would not be able to endure the peace and quiet of the sect, and was worried that he would slip away by himself one day. That was why Chi Hanyu thought of building the newly moved Mount Kunliu and Kuan City together. It had to be said that this was a precedent in Victory East Province. Kuan City was filled with people from everywhere. All the great clans relied on this place. While they enjoyed the bustle of Kuan City, they could also send their younger generations to Mount Kunliu for cultivation. It was this brand new model that allowed Mount Kunliu's reputation and power to grow tremendously. The Myriad World Sect, Jiuhua Palace, and Mount Kunliu gradually stabilized the situation in the victorious East State. Sect Master Gong Yang is already at a bottleneck, right? Chu Hen smiled. Gong Yanyu was taken aback. Soon after, he smiled and shook his head. I really can't hide anything from you. I've been stuck at the pinnacle of the ancient realm for almost a year now, and I can't even sense the critical point of breaking through. But this time, you brought so many elixirs, so you should be able to break through the bottleneck. Chu Hen nodded. Indeed, compared to the Midland, this Eastern Victory Province was way too small. In the Eastern region, there were countless provinces of various sizes. Back then, the strongest ancient eternal realm cultivator in the Eastern Victory State was not even worth mentioning to the current him. I'm wondering if I should send something over to Sect Leader Qiao and Hall Master Xing. Gong Yanyu said. After all, they were all brought over by Chu Hen, so it was only right for him to seek his opinion before he sent them out. No need, they all have, Chu Hen replied. Both? And before returning, Chu Hen distributed the dozen or so boxes of treasures sent over by Wang Li and Wu Yin to Qiao Shaowan, Han Yichuan, and Mu Feng, ordering them to bring them back to their respective sects. In Mu Feng's words, it was returning home in glory. After all, they were all friends who had gone through life and death together, so Chu Hen naturally would not neglect anyone. No wonder Qiao Yong and Xing haven't come here yet. It seems that they're preparing to enter retreat to break through to the Saint King realm. Gong Yanyu could not help but understand. Previously, he had thought it was strange. Logically speaking, the news of Chu Hen's return had already reached the Thousand World Sect and Jiuhua Palace. With Qiao Yong and Xing Yi's personalities, they would definitely come to Kuan City. If it didn't come soon, they would only be delayed in cultivating their will. I can't wait any longer, Gong Yanyu said with a hopeful expression. It was not just Gong Yanyu. Sect Master Qiao Yong of the Thousand World Sect and Hall Master Xing Yi of Jiuhua Palace were also stuck at the peak of the ancient eternal realm, unable to break through. If anyone could break through to the Saint King realm first, the three-way balance in Victory East Province would be broken. Therefore, while these three great forces supported each other, they were also secretly competing against each other. Have you found the man with the same eyes as you? Gong Yanyu asked in a deep tone. Chu Hen shook his head, a complicated look appearing on his face. Li Wushang, where is he hiding? This was also the question that Chu Hen had always wanted to know the answer to. By the way, has Mount Kunliu been targeted by anyone in the past few years? Chu Hen suddenly asked. Gong Yangyu's expression turned serious as he replied solemnly. Yes. Who are they? Chu Hen continued to ask. The Holy Race. Gong Yanyu said word by word in a serious tone. The Radiant's Holy Race. What? There seemed to be invisible ripples in the air. Chu Hen's eyes were suffused with a trace of frost. As expected, before the Radiant's Holy Race had followed him all the way to the Immortal and Devil Tomb at the border of Midland. They wouldn't stay still. Did they do anything? Chu Hen asked in a deep voice. Not really. They didn't make any direct contact with us, but we all sensed it. These years, the Radiant's Holy Race has been secretly watching us, including Kuan City, where there is a stronghold of the Radiant's Holy Race. However, they didn't openly target Mount Kunliu, so we just turned a blind eye. After listening to Gong Yangyu's story, Chu Hen's expression softened a little. It seemed that the Radiant's holy race also had some concerns, which was why they didn't openly attack Mount Kunlu. Of course, even if they targeted Mount Kunlu, it would be useless. After all, their target was only him. More precisely, it was the Sky Chi token he had. So, the Radiant's holy race already knows that I've returned to Victory East Province. Chu Hen murmured to himself. Is there any grudge between you and the Radiant's holy race? Gong Yanyu was still quite confused about this. Chu Hen shook his head slightly. I'll handle this myself. Just give me all the information you've collected about the Radiant's holy race, sect leader Gong Yanyu. Seeing the calmness in Chu Hen's eyes, Gong Yanyu just nodded. At this moment, Gong Yanyu was also well aware that he was no longer powerful enough to interfere with Chu Hen's affairs. Then I'll hurry up and go into seclusion. I'll try to break through to the Saint King realm as soon as possible. Then I'll be able to help if anything happens. All right, the evening had passed, and the night had fallen. As far as the eye could see, Kuan City was bustling with life and wine. Although it feels like a blow, I still want to ask you, what level have you reached? Gong Yangyu asked expectantly. Chu Hen faintly smiled, then spat out a few words. Great Saint King Realm. Whoa. What followed was a shocked expression on Gong Yangyu's face, and he couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. Night. Kuan City was filled with songs and dances. The bright lights made it seem like a city that never sleeps. Chu Hen stood at the top of the city tower. His deep eyes were fixed on the corner of the alley that was shrouded in darkness. The Radiant's holy race had never given up. Perhaps they were waiting for him to return here. The Sky Chi token. It was connected to the source of all evil in the God-forbidden blood prison. At the same time, it was also connected to Toba Shah's fate. Senior Toba, please hold on a little longer. Chapter 1526. Kuan City is still the most fun. I can't even stay in the Thousand World sect for another day. Ha ha. Good thing my brother and I didn't follow you to the Thousand World sect. It's so lively here, there's everything. It's much more fun than our hidden sky city. I didn't think that a tiny, victorious E-state could build such a prosperous capital city. It's also my first time seeing an inner city built halfway up a mountain. On the main tower of Kuan City, Zhao Qingyi and Zhao Qingkai, as well as Mo Qingli, who had brought Qingxue back after playing outside for the whole day. Qiao Shaowan and Han Yichuan, who came back in the afternoon, also walked with them. Apart from these people, there was a new addition. On Qingxue's shoulder, there was an especially cute little monkey. The little monkey was the size of a cat, but its fur was golden. It was holding an apple in its tiny hands, and the apple was bigger than the palm of his hand by size. Atao, do you want more candied hawthorn? Qingxue handed a stick of candied hawthorn to the little monkey. The monkey looked at the candied hawthorn, then at the apple in its hand, as if hesitating on which one to take first. Don't give it. Its hands are only so big. It needs both paws to grab an apple. Give it after it finishes eating. Zhao Qingyi smiled. That's true. Qingxue nodded, then turned to the side and said, I'll leave the candied hawthorn for you first. We'll talk about it after you finish eating the apple. The little monkey let out a squeak, as if responding to her. So obedient, just like Dabai. Dabai? What's that? Zhao Qingkai asked in confusion. Dabai is a big bear, a pet I kept in the Beichuan ice region. But most of the time, it was Dabai who took care of me. Thinking of the big white bear in the Beichuan ice region, Qingxue couldn't help but reminisce. When she grew up and was able to go out on her own, she definitely wanted to go back and see the companion that had accompanied her for more than 10 years. Looks like our Qingxue is especially loved by demonic beasts. Zhao Qingyi rubbed her head, as if she was her elder brother. GG. At this time, the eyes of the little monkey on Qingxue's shoulder were full of excitement. It stretched out its furry little paw and pointed forward. It's Chu Hen. Everyone's eyes lit up. He saw Chu Hen standing alone on the tall and imposing city gate tower. Hearing the commotion, Chu Hen also turned around. You're back? Xiao Shaowan ran up to him first. Chu Hen nodded his head, but he looked at the little monkey on Qingshue's shoulder in astonishment. "You're here too? Little fellow, huh? Does Brother Chu Hen know a Tao?" Qingxue asked with her eyes wide open. "Tao?" Chu Hen was taken aback. "Yeah, I named it this afternoon. Don't monkeys like to eat peaches?" The other party probably didn't know that while this little monkey looked harmless and cute to the point of making others unwilling to let go of it, in reality, its true form was violent to the point of destroying the heavens and the earth. During the battle with the Thunder Saint Palace, the little monkey showed its extremely terrifying side. However, when Chu Hen and the others left the East region, they left the little monkey in the victorious East region. They thought that it had returned to the forest. They didn't expect it to still be in Kuan City. Gee. Seeing Chu Hen, the little monkey seemed to be exceptionally happy. It jumped down from Qingshue's shoulder and climbed onto Chu Hen's body. Tao and Brother Chu Hen seemed to be very close, Qingshuo said in surprise. Of course, this little monkey is one of Chu Hen's summoned beasts, Han Ichuan explained. In the past, he and Xiao Xiaowan had seen the little monkey's true form. Therefore, it wasn't surprising. I wonder what kind of species this fellow is. Is it a gorilla or a Haokong blood ape? The two ape-type demonic beasts that Xiao Xiaowan mentioned were above the venerable level and could grow into the sage level. The little monkey was clearly still in its growing stage. It had that kind of combat power. When it reached maturity, it would definitely not be weaker than any of the sage beasts. It doesn't seem like it. The fur of the gorilla and Haokong blood apes are not golden, Zhao Qingyi denied. There is a type of ape-type demonic beast with golden fur, Mo Qingli suddenly said. The few of them were stunned. Her red lips moved slightly as she said in a low voice, "Lesser ancient ape demon." Hearing these 4 words, the few of them couldn't help but squint their eyes. On the contrary, Chu Hen's face was full of confusion. What is a lesser ancient ape demon? It is a very ancient demonic beast of the ape race. Its bloodline can be traced back to tens of thousands of years ago. Legend has it that the lesser ancient ape demon is extremely tyrannical and has 3 heads and 6 arms. It can even compete with the legendary giant dragons and Qilins for food, Han Ichuan explained. But there isn't much information about the lesser ancient ape demon in the history books. Moreover, it has been a long time since anyone has confirmed its existence. I think the possibility of this is extremely low. Indeed, Zhao Qingyi also nodded in agreement with Han Ichuan's words. The lesser ancient ape demon is ferocious and aggressive. Even the giant dragons and other divine beasts fear it. It shouldn't be it. It could compete with the giant dragons. The lesser ancient ape demon with 3 heads and 6 arms could definitely be called a great ancient beast. But this little monkey in front of them was not only adorable, but it also had a pair of big round eyes that were full of beauty. It was the complete opposite of its characteristics. When it transformed into its original form, it did not have the legendary 3 heads and 6 arms. With regards to this kind of speculation, everyone just laughed it off. No matter what, I'm very happy to be able to see you again. Chu Hen rubbed the little monkey's round head. Gee. The little monkey rubbed its head against Chu Hen's face intimately, then jumped a few times before returning to Qingshue's shoulder. Looks like it likes you more. Chu Hen laughed. That's right. Tao is very cute. Everyone smiled. Immediately, everyone returned to Kuan City's main residence. The few of them walked around Qingxue, while Chu Hen and Mo Qingli followed behind. How do you feel? Chu Hen asked. Mo Qingli smiled lightly. It's okay. After interacting with her, it's not as awkward as I imagined. That's good. She's a little special. At this time, Mo Qingli said. Following the direction of her gaze, Chu Hen looked towards the innocent and adorable figure that was being doted on by a few people. Qingshuo, she's indeed very likable. Not just like she has an aura that makes people feel close to her. Not only does she attract ordinary people, she also attracts beasts. Chu Hen was startled, but he quickly realized that other than him, Mo Qingli did not communicate with anyone else. This time, she took the initiative to help take care of Qingshuo. Perhaps there were other reasons, but with her personality, taking care of a little girl was not something she would do. After thinking for a while, Chu Hen shook his head helplessly. Although he was a little confused, Qing Xue's arrival brought joy to everyone. Just this point alone was enough. The next evening, in the courtyard that Chu Hen lived alone. Junior Chu Hen, here is all the information you need. Dan Jun placed a thick stack of papers on the table in front of Chu Hen, a solemn expression on her face. Chu Hen nodded. I'll have to trouble you then. Junior Chu Hen, you're too kind. Unfortunately, my cultivation is not good enough. I can't help Junior Chu Hen much. Dan Jun's eyes were somewhat lonely. That year, the two of them were at the same starting line. Now, not to mention herself, even Sect Master Gong Yang Yu could only look up to Chu Hen's back. Senior Shan Jun, you don't need to be so humble. The achievements of Mount Kuan Lu today have a lot to do with your management. Dan Jun smiled and didn't say anything else. Senior Shan Jun, send someone to the Heavenly Sword Pavilion and the Yi family. Inform Mu Feng and Yi Yao to return in 3 days. Chu Hen said, Okay, I'll send someone to do it. With that, Dan Jun left a pile of information on the table and left the courtyard. Soon after, Chu Hen picked up the letter in front of him and carefully read the information inside. The corners of his eyes couldn't help but narrow. What are you doing? At this moment, an elegant and refined figure walked in from outside the courtyard. Chu Hen raised his head and looked at the other party's beautiful face. Bai Qinyu's red lips twitched slightly, her bright peach blossom eyes a little puzzled. What's wrong? Chu Hen didn't answer. He just stared at her in a daze. Bai Qinyu felt a little uncomfortable under the other party's stare. She blushed and avoided his gaze. Why are you looking at me like that? Do you think? Chu Hen frowned lightly as he asked in a low voice. Do you think we'll be able to defeat a quasi-emperor powerhouse if we join forces? P.S. If the reader has forgotten who the little monkey is, you can look back at Chapter 877, Shocking Ape Demon, or Chapter 698, Summoning Contract. Chapter 1527. Say, do you think we'll be able to defeat a quasi-emperor powerhouse if we join forces? Chu Hen stared fixedly at Bai Qinyu's beautiful clear eyes as he asked with some uncertainty. Bai Qinyu was stunned by Chu Hen's words. Her beautiful eyes wandered as she muttered in a low voice. And here I was wondering what it was. Are you sure you can defeat him? Chu Hen asked as he did not hear what Bai Qinyu had said. Aren't you a little too arrogant? Hua Wan, who's a heaven-ranked great Saint King, almost killed you, and you still dare to fight a quasi-emperor? Emperor's stage, a peerless transcendent who was above the great Saint King stage. An Emperor stage powerhouse was a terrifying existence that stood at the top of the pyramid. A quasi-emperor. Although there was a quasi in it, there was also the word emperor in it. Anything that was related to the word quasi would definitely cause the world to tremble. I can't defeat him? Chu Hen frowned. I can, Bai Qinyu said. Really? Chu Hen's eyes lit up. It's just that the probability is low. Bai Qinyu replied nonchalantly. Then, she asked, why are you suddenly saying this? The Antiquity Saint Clan won't brazenly send a quasi-emperor to kill you. Chu Hen shook his head. It's not the Antiquity Saint Clan. Oh, Bai Qinyu was slightly surprised. Do you know about the Light Saint Clan? Yes, I know a senior who has helped me many times. However, he offended the Light Saint Clan. If I'm not mistaken, he should be imprisoned here. Chu Hen raised his hand and passed a scroll of information to Bai Qinyu. There was some information written on it in great detail. In the Eastern Province, Mang City. The forces in Mang City had never participated in any conflicts between the provinces in the Eastern region. They usually kept a low profile. However, Mang City was the largest base of the Light Saint Clan in the Eastern region. The city lord of Mang City, Nangong Guangtong, appeared to be someone who stood aloof from worldly affairs on the surface, but his true identity was the vice-clan leader of the Radiant Saint Clan. This person was extremely shrewd, and his cultivation was unfathomable. According to the intelligence reports, Nangong Guangtong's cultivation was probably at the peak of the heaven-ranked Great Saint King realm, and he was half a step into the Emperor realm. Although I'm not 100% sure if Nangong Wantong has broken through to the quasi-emperor stage, he's definitely at the peak of the heaven-ranked Great Saint King stage. After all, this was information regarding the sacred race. It was also rather difficult to collect them on Mount Kunliu. For the time being, Chu Hen classified him as a quasi-emperor. Mang Chung, deputy clan leader. Bai Qinyu's eyes rippled. Chu Hen continued, "That senior of mine has a rather special identity. The Radiant Sacred Clan has been secretly targeting him. He should still be imprisoned in Mang City." Mang City was the Light Sacred Clan's largest stronghold in the eastern region. His strength was very strong. To the other sects and forces in the entire eastern region, Mang City itself was a particularly terrifying colossus. In their eyes, Tuoba Shah was merely an ant. Therefore, there was no need for Tuoba Shah to be imprisoned and sent to the Light Sacred Clan. Moreover, it was unrealistic. After all, the deputy clan leader was already hiding in Mang City. There was no need for him to go to a higher level. The Light Sacred Clan actually left a quasi-emperor in the eastern region. Bai Qinyu was also a little surprised as he flipped through the information in his hands. One should know that even the strongest expert in the War God Palace of the Midland, one of the 10 strongest divine clans, was only at the peak of the Earth-ranked Great Saint King stage, Duan Tsang. Of course, Duan Tsang and Nangong Guangtong's status in the clan was worlds apart. Duan Tsang's status was far inferior to Hua Wen's. However, Nangong Guangtong was already the deputy clan leader. That was also why Bai Qinyu was surprised. "It seems like the senior you mentioned is highly valued by the Light Sacred Clan," Bai Qinyu said. Chu Hen nodded, and there was more or less helplessness between his brows. Tuoba Shah's life was especially difficult. He used to be a good man who was respected by his neighbors. However, because of the Qitian token, his entire family was killed. He had also become a demon and embarked on a bloody path of revenge. However, Tuoba Shah seemed extremely small in front of the Light Sacred Clan. Why now? You could have waited until you were absolutely confident before asking the Light Sacred Clan for him. Bai Qinyu asked softly. "I can't wait any longer." Chu Hen's tone was firm. "The Light Sacred Clan already knows that I'm back. They will definitely take action next. Instead of waiting for them to come to us in fear, it's better to take the initiative and catch them off guard." This was what Chu Hen was thinking. The Light Sacred Clan was definitely not kind. What he needed to do now was to rescue Tuoba Shah before Mang City took any action. Once he dealt with Mang City, the rest would be very easy to deal with. Chu Hen was not afraid that the Light Sacred Clan would come knocking on his door. After all, what they wanted was the Qitian token, an extremely evil item that was connected to the godly Forbidden Blood Prison, the root of all evil. An evil item that would damage the Light Sacred Clan's reputation. For so many years, the Light Sacred Clan had been keeping a low profile. They had carefully searched for Tuoba Shah because they did not want this matter to spread. As long as he rescued Tuoba Shah, the Light Sacred Clan could only swallow their anger. Even if the Light Sacred Clan ignored the condemnation of the outside world and insisted on seeking revenge on Chu Hen, they could just reveal the secret of the Qitian token to the public. No matter what the outcome was, the Light Sacred Clan would not be able to deal with it. Of course, rescuing Tuoba Shah was the first priority. Otherwise, the Light Sacred Clan would have the absolute bargaining chip to prevent Chu Hen from acting rashly. In other words, if we don't rescue your senior soon, his life might be in danger. Bai Qinyu analyzed the reason behind it. That's right. Chu Hen confirmed it, because he did not know what the Light Sacred Clan would do next. His priority was to rescue the other party. So I want to know, if the two of us work together, how confident are we of defeating Nangong Guangtong? Bai Qinyu raised her eyebrows slightly. She had a calm expression on her face. "Actually, I have a better idea." "Oh." Chu Hen was stunned. "What idea do you have?" Bai Qinyu smiled brightly and put the thick letter back on the table. "Take a guess." The corners of her lips curled up slightly, and a mischievous look flashed in her eyes. It seemed that the serious matter that Chu Hen thought was not difficult at all. Although Chu Hen did not know what the other party was thinking, He was captivated by Qinyu's faint smile. The evening sun dyed the horizon. The red glow of the setting sun made Bai Qinyu look even more lovely. Chu Hen subconsciously reached out and gently cupped her cheek. Bai Qinyu was obviously stunned by Chu Hen's sudden action. Her beautiful eyes were like water, and her voice was like that of a butterfly. What are you trying to do?" The corners of Chu Hen's mouth curled up. "I've been restraining myself all this time. It's very dangerous for you to stand in front of me like this." "Dangerous? I don't think so at all." Bai Qinyu's beautiful big eyes were filled with mischief. The distance between the two of them gradually closed. The tip of their noses almost touched each other's. They could even feel each other's breathing. "Oomph," Chu Hen chuckled. "You asked for it." Chu Hen's lips gently moved closer to Bai Qinyu's delicate cherry lips. However, at that moment, Bai Qinyu's eyes suddenly glowed with a sacred golden light. The next moment, the space around her distorted dreamily. Then, she suddenly disappeared in front of Chu Hen. What followed was Bai Qinyu's silvery bell-like laughter. "Is this the danger you mentioned?" "Ha ha ha!" Chu Hen was speechless. He turned sideways to look at Bai Qinyu, who flashed behind him. He was both angry and amused. "Did I fall into your trap?" Looking at Chu Hen's helpless expression, Bai Qinyu covered her mouth and chuckled. Then, with a hint of provocation, she said, "Wait until you can beat me before thinking of doing bad things." Chu Hen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He shook his head and sighed. 3 days later, Mu Feng and Yi Yao returned from Heavenly Sword Pavilion and Fire Rain City. They returned to Kuan City as promised. In the evening, Kuan City was still as bright as day. The streets of all sizes were bustling with people coming and going. However, there was a pawn shop in an inconspicuous corner of an alley at the end of the street filled with singing and dancing. The decor of the pawn shop was very simple. The color was a little cold. The plaque at the door said, "Pawn Shop Number 8. Pawn Shop Number 8. It was a very special name. Whether it was Number 8 or Pawn Shop, they were actually very common. However, once they were combined, there was an indescribable meaning. Pawn Shop Number 8. Everyone who lived nearby knew that the door of this pawn shop was closed during the day. It would only open at night. However, when the door was open, no one had ever pawned anything inside. Even if someone went in, they would soon run out. However, on this day, a group of uninvited guests broke into this extremely quiet pawn shop. "Sorry, our pawn shop doesn't do business. Please leave." A man less than 30 years old stretched out his hand and blocked the way of the crowd. His cold and indifferent voice was not mixed with any politeness. His words were not a discussion, but an order. "Hee, if the pawn shop doesn't do business, then what is the use of opening it?" The young man who walked in laughed lightly. "Whether we do business or not has nothing to do with you. If you don't want to get hurt, leave immediately." The man's tone was still cold. "He hurt? Why don't you try? Courting death." Bang! A heavy explosion sounded. The tables and chairs in the pawn shop were instantly shattered, along with a wretched figure. The walls of the pawn shop were immediately covered with spiderweb-like cracks. The man held his chest with one hand, blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. His face was full of shock. The expressions of the other people in the pawn shop also changed. Who are you?" "The person you're looking for." "What? You are?" "That's right, I am Chu Hen." Chapter 1528. That's right, I am Chu Hen. In the 8th pawn shop, the entire building shook violently. Stone chips of various sizes fell to the ground from the cracks on the walls. In an instant, everyone in the pawn shop had a grim expression on their faces. Their eyes were filled with ferocity. "What do you mean by Chu Hen? Chu Hen, I don't know him." The man in the lead scolded. "Oomph." The corners of Chu Hen's mouth curled up. "Get your manager to come out and talk to me." "Heh, you don't have the qualifications." Bang. Before the man could finish a sentence, he was once again slammed into the wall behind him. Rubble flew everywhere, and the wall caved in rapidly. Then, it was as if an invisible hand had grabbed the man's throat and slowly lifted him up. The man was suspended in the air like a crab that was being hooked, flailing his limbs. When the others saw this, their eyes hardened, and they wanted to charge at Chu Hen and the rest. "Let him go. How dare you come here and behave atrociously? You're courting death. At this moment, a powerful and heavy voice came from the second floor of the pawn shop. Stop! Buzz! In the next moment, an invisible and mighty aura swept over and rushed towards Chu Hen and the rest like a tidal wave. Chu Hen's handsome eyebrows twitched slightly, and a powerful wave of energy surged out from his body. Boom! With a loud bang, an incomparably deep crack appeared in the middle of the pawn shop. Everyone in the pawn shop was shaken and took a few steps back. At the same time, steady footsteps could be heard coming from the stairs of the second floor. You're finally willing to come out, said Chu Hen with a light smile. With a thought, the arrogant man floating in the air was directly flung out. Only after smashing a few precious flower vases and ornaments did he stop. The footsteps were getting closer and closer. Under everyone's watchful eyes, a thin and tall elderly figure in plain clothes appeared at the corner of the stairs. Old Mr. Chu, why are you here? Upon seeing this person, Xiao Shaoan couldn't help but shout out. Hani Chuan was also shocked. Old Mr. Chu. You are from the Radiance Sacred Clan? Obviously, Xiao Shaoan and Hani Chuan knew the person in front of them. It was Chu Hen's first time meeting him. The other party was tall and thin. His eyes were calm like water in a well. You two know him? Mu Feng asked. Yes, Xiao Shaoan nodded. He's a good friend of my Sifu. The two of them often play chess together. Mr. Chu is the city lord of Medical Sage City. He has helped countless people his entire life. Why would he be involved with the light sacred race? Hani Chuan was also puzzled. Since he's a lackey of the light sacred race, would your Sifu? Mu Feng asked cautiously. Xiao Shaoan and Hani Chuan looked at each other, feeling conflicted. Medical Sage City. It was very famous in the East Victory State. City Lord Chu Qingha's medical skills were superb. In the words of the world, as long as you were still breathing, old Mr. Chu Qingha could save you. Not only that, Chu Qingha was on good terms with sect master Qiao Yong of the Thousand Worlds sect and Xing Yi of the Palace of Jihua. If Medical Sage City was also a branch of the Light Sacred Race's stronghold in the East Victory State, people couldn't help but suspect the Thousand Worlds sect and the Palace of Jihua. However, in Chu Hen's opinion, Sect Master Qiao Yong and Home Master Xing Yi had nothing to do with the Light Sacred Race. After all, the Light Sacred Race was arrogant. It was enough to set up Medical Sage City in the small East Victory State. I'm a little surprised that you would come to me in person. Chu Qingha stood halfway up the stairs and looked at Chu Hen in front of him. I'm also surprised that you're someone my friend knows. I'm just serving my own master. I've been hiding for so many years, but you still found me in the end. Chu Qingha's tone was very calm. It was as if he was used to seeing storms and waves. He looked at Chu Hen, nodded slightly, and said, Back then, when I sent Yin Quan and Qing Xiong to chase you out of the eastern region, and none of them returned a report, I should have guessed that this day would come. He. The corner of Chu Hen's mouth twitched. It's really scary. The number of experts hidden in the seemingly ordinary medical sacred city is even greater than the combined number of the three major forces in the Victory East State. The Thousand Worlds sect, the Palace of Jihua, and Mount Kunli. These were known as the three major forces in the state, but 4 years ago, their combined strength was no match for Medical Sage City. In order to find the whereabouts of the Qitian token, the mastermind of the Light Saint clan had really extended his search for a long time. I underestimated you. Chu Qingha's old eyes were surging with sharpness. This is my mistake. When Chu Hen left the East Territory, he sent 2 of his most capable subordinates to hunt down Chu Hen, who was only at the 7th level of the Heaven Profound Realm. There were also many guards of the Light Saint clan following him. Logically speaking, Chu Hen should have been dead. Even Tin Chu Hen wouldn't have been able to escape. But in the end, they chased him all the way through Whale Island City to the tomb of immortals and devils at the border of the Midland. They didn't catch Chu Hen, and the people they sent out were all killed. In fact, it just so happened that Chu Hen met Bai Qinyu in the tomb of immortals and devils. If Bai Qinyu hadn't taken care of Qing Xiong and the others who were chasing after him, Chu Hen wouldn't have been able to follow him. You want to make up for your mistake now? Chu Hen smiled with interest. However, Chu Qinghe only smiled faintly. I'm just a mere Saint King. How can I be a match for a great Saint King like you? I've heard a little about what you've done in the Midland. The Light Saint clan was the Light Saint clan after all. What happened in the Midland hadn't reached the East Territory yet, but the Light Saint clan had already received the news. Since City Lord Chu isn't willing to fight me, then you'll lead me to a place. Chu Hen said calmly. Oh. Chu Qinghe raised his old eyes and stared at Chu Hen meaningfully. Don't tell me you want to go to Mang City in the inner prefecture of the East Territory? Yes. I need City Lord Chu to personally lead the way. Ha ha ha. Chu Qinghe laughed with a hint of mockery in his laughter. The person you captured is locked up in Mang City, right? Chu Hen asked coldly. Hee hee. Since you won't go to Mang City, there's no harm in me telling you. That devil is indeed locked up in Mang City's Skywell prison. However, since you're able to find your way here, it's only natural that you've investigated Mang City. That's the largest branch of the Light Saint clan in the Eastern Territory. If you dare to go there, I have to admire your courage. There was a sneer on Chu Qinghe's face. Among the people behind Chu Hen, apart from Bai Qinyu who seemed indifferent, everyone had a solemn expression on their faces. One could imagine that the largest Saint clan's base in the inner prefecture of the Eastern Territory was definitely filled with powerhouses. The powerhouses in Mang City were definitely not someone the medical Saint City could compare to. However, in the face of Chu Qinghe's disdain, Chu Hen only smiled. Back then, City Lord Chu, you must have been severely punished for failing to capture me, right? Now that you've brought me to Mang City, it's a good opportunity for you to make up for your mistake. Chu Qinghe's face immediately darkened when he heard that. His gaze unwaveringly stared at Chu Hen's calm and handsome face. You really dare to go to your death? Chu Hen raised an eyebrow slightly and raised his right hand slightly. Please lead the way, City Lord Chu. You. In the end, Chu Qinghe could not maintain his composure. He clenched his fists tightly as he felt that he could not see through the young man in front of him at all. What kind of ability did he have? How dare he trespass into Mang City to demand for people? Since you're seeking your own death, why wouldn't I fulfill your wish? The wind raged throughout the night. A cold current suddenly struck. The sky had just turned bright when the wind stopped blowing. In the inner prefecture of the Eastern Territory, as a large prefecture in the center of the Eastern Territory, there were many forces and clans. Mang City, although it usually kept a low profile, no one had dared to invade this place ever since it was established. Those who knew would naturally understand. Those who did not know the depths of this place would also be fearful of the other forces' reverence. Mang City had never been open to the outside world. There were no other citizens in the city. However, if someone stepped into it, they would all be amazed by the magnificence of the buildings and the grandeur of the palaces. At this moment, Chu Hen, Bai Qinyu, Imo Qingli, Mu Feng, Long Xuanshuang, Yi Yao, Qiao Xiaowan, and Han Ichuan were walking up the wide steps. Zhao Qingyi and her sister did not come with them. Chu Hen had ordered them to stay in Kuan City to look after Qingxue. As for Hao Zi, he was still in the 100 Kingdoms state, so he could not come with them. Among the 8 people, only Chu Hen, Bai Qinyu, and Mo Qingli were great Saint Kings, while the other 5 were Saint Kings. Moreover, the number of great Saint King stage powerhouses in Light City would definitely not be lesser than the number in the War God Palace. Moreover, there was Nangong Guangtong, who was already a quasi-emperor. Chapter 1529. 1 second to remember. There was no pop-up window for free reading. Mang City. The palace was luxurious and majestic. The structure of the buildings inside and outside was peculiar. From the outside to the inside, it gradually increased in the form of stairs. From afar, it looked like a central fortress that was held up by stars. At this moment, on a Zen platform in the central square of Mang City, a middle-aged figure that looked like a monarch was sitting on a wide chair. He was dressed lavishly, had a square mouth, an aquiline nose, and a pair of triangular eyes that emitted a sharp light. On the surface, this person was the governor of Mang City, But in reality, he was the deputy clan leader of the Light Saint tribe. He was a ruler with supreme power. At this moment, under Nangong Guangtong's playful smile, a few young figures gradually walked from the sky, stairway, avenue, to the square. The eyes of many people behind Nangong Guangtong shivered when they saw the newcomer. Their eyes were filled with a cold light. I'm Chu Hen. Greetings, City Governor Nangong. He was neither haughty nor humble. Chu Hen walked up to Nangong Guangtong in the center of the Zen platform calmly. He cupped his fists slightly and bowed calmly. Nangong Guangtong's gaze swept across Chu Hen and the few people behind him. I've long heard of your name. Nice to meet you. City Governor Nangong, you're too kind. I came uninvited without an appointment. Please forgive me if I've disturbed you. No. Nangong Guangtong sat up slightly and leaned his upper body forward. It's good that you've come. Just what I wanted. It's been a long time since I've had such a good time. Oh. Chu Hen raised his eyebrows and smiled with interest. Could it be that you've been looking for me, City Governor Nangong? Ha! Nangong Guangtong laughed. Then his eyes turned cold as he said, Why are you looking for me? Ha! City Governor Nangong, since everyone is well aware of this, I shall get straight to the point. The reason I came here this time is because of Tuoba Shah, who is imprisoned in Mang City's Skywell prison. As soon as Chu Hen said that, the people of Mang City froze. The other party's straightforwardness was somewhat unexpected. Nangong Guangtong tilted his body slightly and clenched the fingers that were tapping on the edge of the wide chair. She stared at Chu Hen's calm face, unable to see through his thoughts. What did you say? I don't really understand, Nangong Guangtong said. Huh. A disdainful smile appeared at the corner of Chu Hen's mouth. A person of such a high status like you also likes to pretend? City Lord Nangong. No, I should call you Clan Leader Nangong. Clan Leader. Nangong Guangtong's face sank when he heard these two words. He glanced coldly at Chu Qinghe, the City Lord of Medical Saint City. His gaze returned to Chu Hen. I really don't know what you're talking about. If there's nothing else, forgive me for not accompanying you. With that, Nangong Guangtong raised his hand and gestured for the people behind him to send the guests off. It seems like the Light Saint clan is much more cowardly than I thought. You've been looking for that thing for so long. Now that I've personally delivered it to you, you don't dare to accept it? Chu Hen's tone was somewhat sarcastic. Nangong Guangtong's eyes turned cold. He stared at Chu Hen's deep and clear eyes and said, What do you want? Hand over, Senior Toba. Chu Hen replied, What if I don't agree? Nangong Guangtong retorted, You will agree, unless you want all the things you've done all these years to be exposed. Ha! Nangong Guangtong laughed wantonly. His laughter was full of disdain and sarcasm. I have to admit that I'm very surprised by your initiative. You've disrupted all our plans for deployment. I admire your courage, but you've forgotten one thing. This is Mang City, my territory. As soon as he finished speaking, figures with powerful auras suddenly appeared around the meditation platform. At the same time, Nangong Guangtong's body emanated a majestic aura like that of a mountain. I can't hand over the person you want, and none of you arrogant people will be able to leave today. As soon as he finished speaking, the powerful aura that could topple the mountains and overturn the seas headed straight for Chu Hen. Not far away, the City Lord of Medical Saint City, Chu Qinghe, also had a sinister smile on his face. Chu Hen and his people were really arrogant to come here openly to ask for the person they wanted. Feeling the powerful domain power pressing down on them rapidly, Mu Feng, Long Xuan, and the others behind Chu Hen all had solemn expressions on their faces. The inner qi in their bodies circulated rapidly as they prepared to draw their swords. However, at this moment, a series of afterimages appeared in the air. Buzz! A heavy and vast wave of air spread in all directions. In the next instant, a beautiful figure that could topple nations and cities appeared in front of Chu Hen. A series of eye-catching golden light spread out like a net of light to both sides. The powerful aura that came from Nangong Guangtong was directly blocked and shattered. You are. Immediately after, Nangong Guangtong stood up and stared in shock at the young lady blocking in front of Chu Hen. The expressions of the experts from Mang City behind him also changed. Miss Baishi? What happened? Mu Feng, Long Xuan, and the others who were standing behind Chu Hen exchanged glances with one another, stunned. In Nangong Guangtong's shocked eyes, a pair of pure golden eyes were clearly reflected. Who are you? My family lives in Baidi City of the Cloud World. Bai Qinyu's red lips opened slightly as she said calmly. Guangdang. The moment she said that, Nangong Guangtong's face turned pale. Baidi City of the Cloud World. You are? That's right, my surname is Bai. Bai Qinyu replied. Nangong Guangtong's expression changed again and again. He clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with a solemn expression. Baidi City? What kind of place is that? Mu Feng asked in a low voice, puzzled. Xiao Xiaowan and Hani Chuan also didn't understand. It seems to be a bluff. Nangong Guangtong was obviously stunned. He paused for a moment, the coldness in his eyes slowly retreating. Then, he cupped his fists and said, I didn't know that Miss Bai was coming. I have eyes but failed to recognize you. Please forgive us. This kind of situation. Mu Feng, Xiao Xiaowan, and the others opened their eyes wide. That can't be right. That was the light saint race. Wasn't Nangong Guangtong's attitude changing a little too quickly? Long Xuan and Yi Yao exchanged glances and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Looking at Bai Qinyu, who stood in front of Chu Hen, Mo Qingli's eyes were filled with an indescribable complexity. City Lord Nangong is being too serious. Can you give me some face and hand over the person you locked up because of a misunderstanding to us? Bai Qinyu said calmly. This. Nangong Guangtong's brows furrowed, as if he was hesitating. He first coldly glanced at Chu Hen, then cautiously stared at Bai Qinyu's golden eyes that emitted the aura of an emperor's divinity. He was still hesitating in his heart. Damn it! Nangong Guangtong cursed in his heart. This was something he didn't expect. It was unbelievable. Behind Chu Hen was Bai Qinyu from the godly Eye Saint race. Although the light saint race was relatively powerful, they couldn't afford to offend the godly Eye Saint race. Nangong Guangtong had already learned from the Midland that Chu Hen also had the demon pupil holy body, which was one of the 10 most powerful holy bodies in the world. But after all, the demon pupil family had suffered a great disaster, and Chu Hen didn't need to be afraid. But the godly Eye Saint race was different. They had the power to destroy the light saint race. After hesitating for a while, the hostility between Nangong Guangtong's eyebrows eased a little. I think it's just a misunderstanding. I also think it's a misunderstanding. Bai Qinyu smiled. Since it's a misunderstanding, let's solve it. I believe that the light saint race isn't unreasonable. City Lord Nangong, please send someone to bring Senior Tuoba here. Nangong Guangtong didn't even have the chance to argue with the other party. He instantly felt that he had fallen into Chu Hen's trap. As soon as Chu Hen came up, he went straight to the point. He did not beat around the bush and immediately mentioned Tuoba Sha. If Nangong Guangtong had ignored him and pretended to be confused, then he could still deny it. But under Chu Hen's provocation, Nangong Guangtong admitted that Tuoba Sha was here, so he couldn't pretend anymore. Now, Mang City only had two choices. One was to compromise and give face to Bai Qinyu. On the other hand, he would go all out and fight to the death to keep everyone here. But the second idea disappeared in Nangong Guangtong's mind. If he couldn't keep any one of Chu Hen here, or if Bai Qinyu had already notified the godly Eye Saint race, the light saint race would be in big trouble. Since Miss Bai's already said so, how can we refuse? Someone, bring that demon here. P.S. Thanks to the Pigeon King and Enron, the two big bosses for the 40,000 yuan reward. It's very cruel and scary. I'll pay you back this weekend. I can't ask for leave again this month. Chapter 1530. Since Miss Bai has spoken, there's no reason for us to refuse. Men, bring that demon over, yes. A few Mang city guards immediately obeyed the order. Bai Qinyu smiled. Thank you, City Lord Nangong. I owe the Light Saint clan a favor. I will personally send someone to the Light Saint clan to thank your clan leader in a few days. The corner of Nangong Guangtong's eyes twitched. He paused for a moment before continuing. Miss Bai's already said that it was a misunderstanding. There's no such thing as a favor. I hope Miss Bai and our young friend, Chu Hen, can forgive us. Chu Hen smiled and cupped his fists. I understand City Lord Nangong's intentions. Just as I said, it's all a misunderstanding. Yes, you're right. Nangong Guangtong was gnashing his teeth in hatred. If he wasn't afraid of the force behind by Qinyu, he would have already attacked and killed Chu Hen with a single palm strike. What a cunning bastard! Nangong Guangtong glared coldly at Chu Qinghe and the others. Chu Qinghe's expression was extremely ugly. Who would have thought that Bai Qinyu would be behind Chu Hen? The Light Saint clan had not gotten what they wanted. Instead, he had lost the Tuoba Shah as a bargaining chip. Moreover, after Bai Qinyu's interference, it was almost impossible for the Light Saint clan to obtain the Qitian token again. The golden light in Bai Qinyu's eyes faded as she looked at the defeated Nangong Guangtong. She turned around and winked at Chu Hen. Chu Hen's eyes were filled with warmth. At the same time, Mu Feng, Qiao Shaoan, and the others also gathered around and whispered. That's it? Yes. Bai Qinyu's eyes were bright, and her smile was like a flower. You should have said so earlier. We were so nervous when we came. They looked at Chu Hen strangely. They were all prepared for a big fight, but who would have thought that Nangong Guangtong would be so terrified when Bai Qinyu stepped forward? The change was not just a little bit. No one could react in time. In fact, even Chu Hen didn't expect things to go so smoothly. You owe me one again. Bai Qinyu pointed at Chu Hen with a finger that was as white as jade and said with a bit of mischievousness. Chu Hen laughed involuntarily. He could not help but feel a little worried. If things continued like this, when would he ever be able to repay the debt he owed Bai Qinyu? Brother, marry her. Mu Feng poked Chu Hen's arm with his elbow and said with a sneaky look, There's no such perfect woman in the world. Your ancestors must be blessed. If I, little Mu Feng, had such a good life, I would dig up my ancestors' graves and bury them again. Chu Hen rolled his eyes at him in annoyance. Be serious. We haven't left Mang's city yet. I'm not joking, Mu Feng said. Although Mu Feng said it very softly, Bai Qinyu heard him clearly. Her beautiful eyes turned and looked at Chu Hen, who was beside her. The corner of her mouth raised into a shallow smile. Clatter, clatter. At this moment, the sound of heavy chains being dragged on the ground came from the other side of the square. Everyone immediately put away their playful expressions and looked over. Under the lead of two Mang city guards, a disheveled figure covered in scabs, with disheveled hair and hands and feet locked in chains limped toward them. Senior Tuoba, Chu Hen was shocked and immediately rushed forward. Hearing this familiar voice, the other party looked up blankly. Under the messy and dirty hair was a pale, lifeless face. Senior Tuoba, it's me. I'm Chu Hen. Hearing the two words Chu Hen, a glimmer of light flashed across Tuoba Shah's gloomy eyes. His lips trembled slightly. Yes, it's you. His weak and low voice was even softer than the buzzing of a mosquito. Looking at Tuoba Shah, who was almost all skin and bones, without a single piece of good flesh on his body, Chu Hen could not help but clench his fists tightly. Then, with a thought, a gentle force flowed into Tuoba Shah's body through his shoulders. Ding! With two crisp sounds, the iron chains on the Taba assassin's legs broke and exploded into several pieces. The expressions of the Mang City people changed slightly. Nangong Guangtong could not help but frown. They could clearly feel the chill coming from Chu Hen's body. Seeing this, Long Xuan, Mu Feng, and the others immediately went forward to help Tuoba Shah. They also slightly comforted Chu Hen's emotions. Chu Hen, since we found Senior Tuoba, let's go back, Mu Feng said in a low voice. Although they could not bear to see Tuoba Shah being tortured to the point that he did not look like a human or a ghost, the Radiant Sacred Clan had already taken a step back today. Quit while you're ahead. There was no need to shed all pretense of cordiality. Chu Hen let out a deep breath. Then, he turned to Nangong Guangtong. Thank you, City Lord Nangong, for taking care of Senior Tuoba all this time. I'll take my leave now. Goodbye. Forgive me for not seeing you off. At the same time, Nangong Guangtong was also filled with rage. If it were not for Bai Qinyu, Chu Hin and the others would not have been so comfortable today. Without any intention to stay, Mu Feng and Hani Chuan supported Tuoba Sha's shoulders from both sides and left with Chu Hin. Watching Chu Hin and the others walk down the Mang City sky stairway, Nangong Guangtong and the others' eyes turned cold. Their gazes were as sharp as blades. Rumble! Suddenly, at this moment, a violent, monstrous, chaotic shockwave appeared in the city behind Mang City. The mighty and terrifying shockwave swept in all directions, directly razing a few luxurious buildings to the ground and turning them into dust. What's going on? Nangong Guangtong, who was already in a state of rage, shouted. Reporting to the city lord, there are intruders. A guard hurriedly ran over to report. Who is it? I don't know, but the person who came is very powerful. Nangong Guangtong clenched his fists. He first glanced at Chu Hin and the others who had already reached the middle of the sky stairway, then waved his hand. Let's go and take a look. At the same time, Chu Hin and the others were also shocked by the earth-shattering turbulence at the back of Mang City. What's going on? Mu Feng looked behind with a puzzled expression. Someone is looking for trouble with Mang City? I don't think so. If they were looking for revenge, this wouldn't be the only commotion. Then what's going on? Don't worry about it. Let's go, Xiao Xiaowan said. Chu Hin also nodded. Let's go. The others did not have much intention to stay and observe. After all, they had not left Mang City yet. If Nangong Guangtong could not figure out what was going on, he would still regret it. Roar! A loud and impassioned dragon roar resounded through the sky. A dark, 1,000-meter-long dragon shadow rose from the sky, bringing with it a terrifying aura as it swooped down on Mang City. The heavens and earth trembled, and the 9 heavens changed color. The wind and clouds surged like a tidal wave. What a powerful dragon soul energy. It's someone from the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan. Bai Qinyu subconsciously blurted out. Hearing these words, everyone's hearts couldn't help but tremble. Dragon Blood Sacred Clan, one of the 10 strongest sacred clans. This clan had the blood of the divine dragon flowing in their veins. They possessed the 9 dragons' true energy and possessed an extremely powerful destructive aura. Chu Hin and the others, who did not plan to stay any longer, became even more cautious when they heard that it was the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan. We can't stay here any longer. Let's leave quickly, Hani Chuan said. Roar! At the same time, a ferocious dragon shadow rose from the ground behind Mang City. On the other hand, this dragon shadow was burning with a strange cold white flame. Together with the cold white flame that was like a tsunami, the flaming dragon shadow went straight for the black dragon that swooped down. They looked at the white dragon shadow. Long Xuan and Chu Hin's expressions changed, their eyes widening. The two spat out a few words at the same time. 9-soul dragon seal. 9-soul dragon seal. It was a cultivation technique passed down by the Long family. In this world, only 3 people knew this martial art. Chu Hin, Long Xuan, and Long Qingyang. Chapter 1531. 9-soul dragon seal. Chu Hin and Long Xuan's expressions changed when they sensed the familiar aura emitted by the ferocious dragon shadow that was covered in cold white flames. What did you say? Mu Feng asked in confusion. Before they could ask, Chu Hin's eyes turned cold, and he said to them solemnly, You guys take Senior to Oba and leave first. After saying that, Chu Hin's figure moved. He drew a purple arc in the air and flew toward the prefecture behind Mang City. Long Xuan didn't hesitate at all and followed closely behind. Brother Chu Hin? Yao was shocked and confused. Bai Qinyu's beautiful eyes darted around, and she said to them, You guys go back first. Leave this to me. With that, Bai Qinyu turned into a beam of golden light and chased after Chu Hin and Mo Qingli. You guys go first. Mo Qingli had no intention of leaving. Wait for me. I'm going too. Noni, follow me. Xiao Xiaowan and Yi Yao quickly chased after him with the Yin Yang beast, Noni. CK, you guys. Mufong was speechless. He immediately pushed Tuoba Shah to Han Ichiwan and said, "You take this uncle and leave first." Han Ichiwan was speechless. All of them ran away, leaving him alone to take care of Tuoba Shah. What was the meaning of this? Roar! Roar! It was also at this moment that the two ferocious giant dragon shadows behind Mang City clashed with each other like two prehistoric beasts. Boom! Wind and thunder roared and the earth shook. A terrifying wave once again wreaked havoc in the sky above Mang City. The ground cracked inch by inch, and the densely packed, deep cracks quickly covered the tall buildings in the city. In the void, more than 10 figures with piercingly cold auras, clad in colorful divine armors, held sharp spears in their hands. The leader of the group was in his 30s. He wore a dragon-patterned armor and held a heavenly heavy halberd in his hand. Around the halberd was the image of a golden dragon soul. A powerful aura covered the sky and covered the earth, like a huge mountain floating in the air. "May I ask why the lords of the Dragonblood Sacred Clan are here?" Nangong Guangtong and the others who had rushed over were surprised. Clan leader Nangong, "I trust you have been well since we last met." The leader's voice was loud and forceful, with an innate dignity and domineering aura. Even though Nangong Guangtong's cultivation was slightly higher than his opponent's, he was actually at a disadvantage in terms of aura. This was the king's aura unique to the 10 strongest sacred clans. Commander Wu Hui. The corners of Nangong Guangtong's eyes narrowed as he recognized the person before him. He was the commander of the Dragonblood Sacred Clan's Dragon Guards. He also wielded a considerable amount of power. Since this is the Light Sacred Clan's territory, it makes things easier. Help us out a little, and don't let this thief escape. Wu Hui waved the halberd in his hand and pointed below Mang City. Nangong Guangtong and the others looked down in the direction Wu Hui pointed, only to see a young figure exuding a powerful dragon soul aura standing on the cracked ground. "Big brother." Long Qingyang. It was at this moment that 2 excited voices rang out. In an instant, the young figure's body could not help but tremble. He suddenly turned around, and there was still shock on his handsome face. Chu Hen, Xian Shuang. In the tense atmosphere, Long Qingyang's eyes flickered. Chu Hen and Long Shuang descended in a flash and flew toward the other party. It was like a dream, real and fake at the same time. "Big brother, it's really you." Chu Hen stepped forward and grasped Long Qingyang's arm tightly. Long Shuang clenched her fists, her beautiful phoenix eyes filled with indescribable complexity and longing. Long Qingyang was both surprised and delighted to see them. But then, Long Qingyang's expression turned grim. He said in a low voice, "Why are you 2 here?" Chu Hen didn't answer, but asked instead, "Big brother, what's going on?" He looked up at the dozen or so Dragonblood Sacred Clan experts above Mang City. They exuded a chilling aura, and their gazes were as sharp as blades. It was obvious that they weren't doing anything good. It was obvious that these people had chased Long Qingyang all the way here. What a touching scene. "Well, someone's going to collect your corpse today," Wu Hui said with a cold smile. "Collect my corpse?" Chu Hen's eyes turned cold as he looked at Wu Hui and the others in the sky. "I'm afraid you don't have the ability to do so." As soon as he finished speaking, a few figures with extraordinary auras rushed over. "Big brother Qingyang." Yao couldn't help but exclaim. Mufong was also shocked. What was going on? The person being chased by the Dragonblood Sacred Clan was Long Qingyang. Long Qingyang had changed quite a bit after so many years. His figure was much taller, and he exuded a heroic aura. The most shocking thing was that Long Qingyang's aura was exceptionally powerful, and there was clearly a domain around him. Moreover, the strength of this domain had reached the peak of the Earth Great Saint King realm, and it even showed signs of approaching the Heaven realm. Unbelievable. In terms of cultivation, Long Qingyang's cultivation was actually higher than Chu Hen's. Xiao Xiaowan and Mo Qingli didn't know Long Qingyang, but they couldn't help but look solemn at the current situation. "He actually has helpers, huh?" Looking at the crowd that had rushed over, a frivolous smile appeared on Wu Hui's face. He then turned his gaze towards Nangong Guangtong. Clan leader Nangong, I didn't expect this thief to have reinforcements. I'm afraid I'll need your help today. Nangong Guangtong chuckled. We will naturally do our best to fulfill Commander Wu Hui's request, but one of them is from Baidi City of the Cloud World, and he's someone our small race can't afford to offend. Baidi City of the Cloud World? The expressions of the Dragonblood Sacred Clan changed when they heard those words. Wu Hui's cold gaze swept across the crowd below, finally landing on Bai Qinyu. You're from the Divine Eye Sacred Clan? As expected from a high-rank commander of the Dragonblood Sacred Clan, he could tell that Bai Qinyu was different from the rest with just one look. When they heard the words Divine Eye Sacred Clan, Mu Feng, Long Xuan, and Xiao Xiaoan were all shocked. Beautiful Sister is also from one of the 10 strongest sacred clans. Xiao Xiaoan exclaimed. Everyone was enlightened. No wonder the Light Sacred Clan handed over Tuoba Sha so easily. Bai Qinyu was indeed someone they couldn't afford to offend. Bai Qinyu's brows furrowed as she smiled. I am. Miss, may I know your surname? Bai Qinyu replied. Oh. The coldness in Wu Hui's eyes softened. The Divine Eye Sacred Clan and the Dragonblood Sacred Clan have always minded our own business. I believe Miss Bai won't interfere in our internal affairs. That might not be the case. That person owes me a lot, and I can't just watch him fall into your hands. Bai Qinyu pointed at Chu Hen, who was standing beside Long Qingyang. Heh! Wu Hui chuckled as he pointed his halberd at Long Qingyang. I only want this person. As for the others, I can let them go for Miss Bai's sake. Everyone's expressions froze. Long Qingyang clenched his fists and said to Chu Hen, Third brother, you don't have to worry about me. How can we not care about what Big Brother is saying? Chu Hen said firmly, I've already given in for Miss Bai's sake. It's not up to you to disagree. After all, the Dragonblood Sacred Clan was also one of the 10 strongest sacred clans. The Dragonblood Sacred Clan was not afraid of the Divine Eye Sacred Clan at all. Wu Hui was just giving Bai Qinyu some face. From the other party's resolute attitude, it seemed like he had no intention of letting Long Qingyang go. Bai Qinyu's beautiful eyes darkened as her red lips parted. I wonder how my friend's brother has offended your race? If it's a misunderstanding, why don't you explain it to us? Misunderstanding? Ha ha! Wu Hui laughed coldly, his eyes filled with coldness. He pointed his halberd at Long Qingyang. This bastard stole the dragon origin of our clan.